So I almost made a mistake today, about
right now
event. Yeah, that was the mistake, was me mispronouncing what time of day it was. Misspeaking what time of day it was. I almost brought in some show and tell today, since today is our big Kennedy assassination discussion at 8:15 today. Make sure you're by the channel for that. Good, strong P1.
You almost brought the tub?
I almost brought the rifle.
The rifle?
Yes. A P1 about a year ago or so showed up at Fannin Tree Farm when we were on remote up there. And he said, hey, Gordon, and I'd communicated with him several times over the years, and he had told me, he said, hey, I have a Mannlicher Carcano rifle that I think his granddad had it.
Manufactured in about 1940.
Right. As a matter of fact, this one was made in, I think this one was made in 40. Oswald's made in 41, I think, or maybe I have those two reversed. But
a rifle, not the rifle.
Right, not the rifle, which is still in the National Archives. But an identical rifle to that. And do you want it?
Yes.
And I said, I don't know that I have any answer. When can you eat? When can you eat? Oh, good God, please. So he showed up at Fannin Tree Farm, and we went to the back of his vehicle, and he opened up the rear hatch of his vehicle, and there laying beautifully there, presented, was this rifle, and he gave it to me, and that was very sweet of him.
Did it look like a bundle of curtain rods? Did he go that far?
It did. That would have been the greatest gag ever if he had it rolled up in a blanket, and I took the blanket home and then opened it up, and it was curtain rods. Which is what Oswald said was in the package that he took to the school book depository on that Friday, November 22nd. But I didn't bring it because my better judgment kind of kicked in. I go, bringing a rifle up to a workplace these days is not really given the thumbs up by everyone.
Especially given your reputation. If you're seen walking down the halls with a rifle...
What do you mean, my reputation?
I think we would have our sister stations would go into duck and cover.
Yes, and it's for show and tell for a guy who brought a rifle to work one day and it didn't work out so well for anyone. So I didn't do it.
Good decision, Coach.
I didn't do it. But I do have that, and it's weird. I can't really show anyone that. I can't bring it up to work for show and tell, and then also it's like I can't be at a remote and bring it out to a remote and let P1 see it, because once again, it's a rifle that I'm bringing to a remote.
Ticket stock? Maybe.
Maybe. I had it one night on Twitch. We got to talking about the rifle and this guy giving it to me. And then I went and got the rifle, and then right before I pulled it in on the screen, I thought, maybe Twitch doesn't want people brandishing firearms.
All of a sudden, the SWAT team's going to be out.
And then everybody started saying, in the chat, man, do not show it, do not show it. And apparently, Twitch does have a thing of if you brandish firearms, you're immediately suspended and all this kind of stuff. So I have this item that cannot be shown to another living human being.
Yeah, and even if you go take pictures of it and put it out online, then all of a sudden the FBI's all over
Yes, and then that'll be the illustrating shot that they will use if I'm ever in any sort of trouble. He had a disturbing presence online. Here, Gordon Hitchcock is shown with the rifle.
Corby Gordon put this out on his Twitch.
Right. Yeah, it's just not a good thing.
Okay, does it have a scope on it?
It does not have a scope. It just has the open sights. Oswald had the 8X scope on his. I think it was 4 to 8X scope on his. And we'll talk about the rifle and various things at 8:15 today. But yesterday I spent trying to prep for 8:15, and it's so overwhelming because there's so much to talk about. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we'll have to limit the scope of what we talk about at 8:15 in our big JFK 60th anniversary observation, which we have to do it today due to our scheduling. But
I think a good jump off will be what the former Secret Service, who was on that JFK special on National Geographic, and his story now of the magic bullet.
Clint Hill?
Yeah. No, what's the other guy's name?
Paul
Paul Landis.
Yeah.
Paul in
What did he say?
Well, he's got this whole book out now that what he thinks has been called the magic bullet that was found on, at least the government said it was found on Conley's gurney that he put at the feet of the president, and he found it in the back of the limousine.
Yeah, he said he found it in the back of the limousine.
So what does
and put it
that
there.
mean? Because I've heard the evidence was, well, yes, he could go through Kennedy and Conley and still basically be pristine, and that is the bullet consistent. It would end up in Conley's like shirt sleeve or something like that. And
Right. Yeah, so the magic bullet thing is, and the reason they call it magic is because people didn't think that it could go through and cause that many wounds to all those guys and still not be more deformed than it was.
right.
Also, it was called the magic bullet because people felt like, how could it stop in midair, zigzag across, and then start again going forward? That whole scene in JFK
Right.
that they do. That's explained by what the conspiracy theorists do is they put Kennedy and Conley in such a position in their bodies to where they're not lined up the way that they were actually in the car. When you actually put them, Conley in the jump seat, which is an elevated position, and inboard of the of Kennedy, all this lines up. It all matches up, and that's something that's hard for. The problem is that to sit and stop and explain something to someone who just wants to get to, and I have this other thing that's really cool and interesting about the assassination that shows that there's a conspiracy. They don't listen to all that stuff. It's like you're taking too long with words. Right. I don't need your words coming back and refuting what I'm saying. Get to the next thing. Well, what I find incredibly fascinating is that somehow in 1963, not even knowing what future technology was going to be, how could the government have engineered a conspiracy so perfect and foolproof that it was future-proofed for the technology that would be later developed where they could 3D map Dealey Plaza, 3D map over the assassination film, the Zapruder film, and when you actually 3D map all those things and put them in the right position and you try to find the trajectory of the bullet, everything lines up to one place. The sixth floor window of exactly where Oswald conveniently was working that day.
Yeah.
It's like, why does that not lead you to the conclusion that, I just don't think that they could have engineered this to be future-proof? The same with the photographic evidence in the backyard photograph, right, which for years people would say, the shadows don't line up.
That dog don't hunt.
Meanwhile, and what's crazy making about that is that someone will just say that sentence. Well, the shadows just don't line up. I mean, it's clearly a faked picture. It's like, don't you have to produce more evidence of what you're saying? Mm-hmm. You're giving me a conclusion, but what's the supporting evidence? And they say, well, it's just obvious. Everyone can look at it and see that the shadows don't line up. Well, as you guys probably know, in the past 5 years or so, there's been multiple studies that have been done on that photograph that show that those shadows are exactly, and they did, once again, 3D mapping of everything, the position of the sun, where he's standing, and somehow or another they run the thing, and it says, yeah, this is exactly how it would have looked.
It's not Photoshopped.
It's not Photoshopped. So they had technology in '63 that's still defeating our technology today, right, of how to fake a photograph and make it future-proof against computers discovering how it was faked. And the conspiracy guy, at no point does he say, wait, I need to revise my conclusion then. It's they just need to add on to the conspiracy a little bit more to make it, well, the government probably did have computers that could do it, or probably the people who did the study, they were paid off by someone. Someone went into Dartmouth University and paid off the people who were doing the 3D recreation in order to keep them part of the conspiracy. So you have to keep adding more and more people to the conspiracy, and you have to add more secret keepers.
It's a fire you can't put out.
You can't put out because they just changed the location of the fire on you. And the other thing about the backyard photograph is, let's say that you do think that the government had the computers that could, or the technology that could defeat our 3D modelers now. How do you explain the fact that Oswald himself gave a copy of that photograph to one of his friends back in the day? It was found in his stuff. I guess you would say the government planted one of those in his friend's stuff to be found a few years later. then also how do you explain the fact that Marina herself said, yeah, I took that photograph?
Right.
I mean, they got her in on it. Meanwhile, this is at a time when she also said, yes, that she thinks that he killed Kennedy. Now she's changed her tune, but back then, and she still maintains even now that even though she thinks that there was a conspiracy now, back then she didn't, that she still says even now, yeah, I took that photograph. I know I took that photograph. He made me come down there and take his photograph while he was holding the rifle and the pistol. So they got her in on it there.
Yeah.
They have it tied to the camera. The negative shows that it's tied to the camera that they owned. So the CIA somehow stole that camera and took the fake photograph with the fake Oswald with their camera and then planted it back in their possessions.
And I feel bad for her because don't you know she's heard from hundreds of people through the years, hey, your husband made contact with me, and we talked about this.
Oh, yeah. I think she basically wants nothing to do with any of it.
Yeah.
And has over the years. It's bop-a-mole when you get into the conspiracy mind because they're committed, and I'll talk more about this at 8:15, but as I was thinking about it last night, and realizing how much they pay lip service to the idea of all I want is the truth and all I want is clarity. And then all they do is try to introduce smoke on the battlefield. That's what they're committed to doing, is just trying to make sure that it remains as unclear as possible. Because if it's as unclear as possible, they can convince more people that there must be something to this conspiracy stuff.
What a 3-day period of time, though, right here in our city.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that at 8:15. I thought that documentary did a great job of capturing the mood, the feel of Dallas at the time, the confusion, the sadness, all of it. I thought it was really well done.
Incredibly well done.
Yeah.
So much of that footage I'd never seen.
And beautiful, yeah. The photography is great.
And yet the coldness of it, too, because of what it was depicting. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it at 8:15 today. And I won't have the rifle as my show and tell.
Good. All right, Gordo, thank you. That's the ODEC 632 on the ticket.
It's time for picks against the P1. How we standing?
Well, last week, once again, the P1 won the week. It was P1 Dalton. He went 10-5, including 4-1 in his NFL picks. That's where he made a big difference. You know what? Actually, as I am just doing this on the fly now, he went 3-1 in his NFL picks. So let me do some on-the-fly corrections because we had a push in the Lions-Chargers game.
I will say this. I feel like I'm like Micah last year. I feel like I'm running out of steam.
I do,
late
too.
In the season. It's a long year.
I do, too. But as I recalculate, Dalton and you tied for the win last week at 9-5.
Okay.
So you had a good week. You both went 3-1 in the pros. I went 2-2 in the pros, and that cost me. I finished 8-6. Okay. So everybody had a winning week, but you and Dalton tied for the lead. So season standings now, George, you're still in first place. You're 90-55. I'm now 2 games back after losing a game last week. I'm 88-57. And because the P1s have had 2 really good weeks in a row, they're making some ground up here late in the season. They are now 80-66 collectively, so they're still 8 games behind me, 10 games behind you. It would take a little bit of a miracle for them to catch us. We'll pick games another couple of weeks and then maybe a week or 2 after the holidays.
All winners, though, this year.
Yeah.
A pretty darn good percentage. All 3 of us, the P1s and us. All right, and the P1 this morning, picking games with us, comes to us from Tyler. It's Roger. Hey, Roger.
Morning, boys.
Morning. We understand you do public address announcing.
I've done public address at Rose Stadium in Tyler for 38 years.
I think I've heard your fine work. I went to a playoff game there probably, you've been doing it, like 10, 12 years ago or so.
Yeah, that was probably me.
Yeah.
So you just missed Earl Campbell.
Well, actually, I went to high school with Earl Campbell.
Wow.
Oh. Wow. You know John
So,
Daly?
Well, I'll tell you, no, I don't know John Daly,
Okay.
but I do know the Campbell family well.
Wow.
That's great.
That's awesome. So you know what you're talking about, especially when it comes to high school football, huh?
Well, I have seen a lot of football, high school football in particular, and junior college. We have Tyler Junior College here, so I also do Tyler Junior College football.
Okay.
But I've seen everyone from Earl Campbell to Patrick Mahomes to Greg Ward Jr. to Ty Bowser. We've had a lot of talent come through here.
Who did you see last night?
Last night we had Sunnyvale against Gilmer, Jeff Traylor's old team.
Yeah.
And the starting quarterback for Sunnyvale was a guy named Nelson Peterson, none other than Adrian Peterson's very much younger brother.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay.
Boy, yeah, so they're separated by 15, 17 years?
At least. I'm not sure. I didn't do the math. But interestingly enough, I watched Adrian Peterson's last high school football game. It was a playoff game at Rose Stadium. They got beat right before he went to OU. But this kid came in last night, and we had no idea. We were told that. Of course, at first, I thought, well, maybe it's his son. But nope, it's actually his younger brother.
Wow, was he any good?
He was outstanding. He's a sophomore, and he really played well. The game went down to the very end, and Gilmer won on basically a walk-off field goal, 41-38. So it's a really good game.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great game. Wow, Roger, you're just a walking historian for East Texas football, sounds like.
Well, we have a lot of good football out here in East Texas. Carthage, for one, you know
Sure.
their story. Gilmer is a big team. Kilgore is still in the playoffs and one of the better teams. Chapel Hill, which is a local Tyler team.
Okay, Roger, we can't run down the whole bracket, but we got to get going. But I appreciate your knowledge, though. I think that's awesome. And we'll start off in the high school ranks in 6A Division I. Prosper and Lake Highlands.
All right, I feel like Roger's going to take it to me
Just
here.
lap us,
These weekly
yeah.
high school football picks, certainly. I will take Prosper here, though.
What do you think, Roger?
I think Prosper will win.
Okay, that makes me feel better about picking Prosper. That's 6A Division I. This is 5A Division II, Saturday at the Ford Center. South Oak Cliff, last year's champion, against Melissa, a team that spent most of this year as the team ranked number 1 in 5A.
Yeah, and I know Melissa's taking care of business for the most part this year, has a better record, but I'm going to take South Oak Cliff.
What do you think, Roger?
I think Melissa will win.
That makes me want to pick Melissa, but I'll go with Sock as well. 6A Division II, this will be at SMU tonight. It's McKinney and Highland Park. It's kind of like a home game for Highland Park.
I was going to say basically a home game, but
Yeah.
I'll still take the Lions of McKinney.
What do you think, Roger?
McKinney.
I may go against the grain here. I'll go Highland Park at basically at home. 6A Division I, this will be tonight in South Lake. Allen and Arlington Martin.
Spent a lot of time this week watching film on these two teams.
There's no way.
Give me Allen.
Don't believe that, Roger. Who you pick?
I'm going to take Allen as well.
I'll go with the Eagles of Allen. And let's crank up the computer. Get our high school chat GPT pick of the week.
Yo. What up, users? I'm the high school adolescent skateboard man computer. So this is the 60th anniversary of some boomer president getting unalived by some other old dude, and we are supposed to care about it.
Unalived.
Well, I don't give an S. I tell you who killed JFK. It was the unjust system of patriarchy that doesn't want to cancel our student loans, so that we stay in perpetual debt and servitude to a capitalist system that keeps us all drones and doesn't recognize that self-identification alone with self-determinism is a natural right of all living sovereign citizens. That's what went on that day in 1863 when Ted Kennedy came to deal in plasma. But I don't care about all that boomer stuff while a genocide is going on right now. And the government is doing nothing but planting evidence on campuses across the irretrievably broken nation because they are jealous that our bodies are hotter than their dumb ass. Plastic surgery, Bulldogs trophy wives. Having said that, the high school game of the week, in this week's high school game of the week, we have the Love Lady Lovers traveling to take on the Heiko Sibian Riders. And that bad is your Craig Way LBJ mistress, J. Edgar Hoover High School Game of the Week. Peace out, you dill lickers.
Ha 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 ya ha ya ha.
Okay.
He has hot sports
that is,
opinions.
Class 2A Division 2. That's the Love Lady Lions and the Heiko Tigers.
I'll take Love Lady.
What do you like, Roger?
Love Lady.
I'll go Love Lady as well.
All right, Roger, let's go to the colleges and pros. We pick these games against the spread. Big one in the Big 12, Texas at Iowa State. The Cyclones at home getting 7.5, George.
Iowa State has won 4 of the last 5 in Ames, and they've already started talking noise. I think they cover. I think Texas wins, but I think Iowa State covers.
Roger?
Texas.
I think I'm with George. I like Iowa State to cover. Texas to win, Iowa State to cover. It's the Holy War tomorrow in Fort Worth. TCU hosting arch rival Baylor, and the Bears are getting 13.
That line seem weird to you, that they're getting 13?
Not too weird.
Seems like a lot of points. I think I'll take Baylor and all those points.
Roger?
I'm going to go with TCU. I think Baylor's struggling a little bit too much.
I agree with Roger. I like the Horned Frogs to beat that 13-point spread. Kansas State at Kansas. The two Kansas schools are both nationally ranked and playing each other this weekend in Lawrence. The Jayhawks at home are getting 9.5.
I guess they're just about out of quarterbacks at Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Give me K-State.
Roger?
K-State.
Yep, I'm with you guys. I like the Wildcats. Big one in the SEC, Georgia at Tennessee. The Volunteers at home getting 10.
That's a lot of points to get at home, but I think Georgia will take care of business. Give me the Dogs.
Raj?
Bulldogs as well.
Yep, I like Georgia. And big one in the Pac-12, Washington is getting a point on the road at Oregon State.
I thought that was strange that they were getting a point.
I did too.
Golly, that's a tough one. Washington.
Roger?
Washington.
Yep, I'm with you. Give me the Huskies.
Which wouldn't be good for Texas. But yeah. Okay, to the NFL we go. The New York Jets are in Buffalo to take on the Bills, and they're getting 7 points.
This may be foolish. I picked these teams that I think are good or still could be good to bounce back after a bad performance. I'm going to take Buffalo, but I don't feel good about it.
What do you think, Roger?
I think the Jets. I think Buffalo's hadn't found their way yet.
Yeah, short week, too. I think it makes or breaks the Bills, and I'll take them at home to cover the 7. Tampa is at San Francisco. The Bucks are getting 11.5.
If it's the 49ers team that we saw last week that is back to being the 49ers, then it could be a long day for Baker Mayfield. 49ers seem healthy again. I'll take San Francisco.
Roger.
I'm with Craig, San Francisco.
I'm with both of you. Yeah, I think 49ers will take care of business. Minnesota is at Denver, and the Vikes are getting 2.5.
I'll go with Josh Dobbs again. Give me Minnesota.
Okay. What do you think, Roger?
I'm going to go with the Broncos.
I think I'm going to go with the Broncos as well. They're playing a lot better right now. They're playing some pretty good defense. I'll take the Broncos at home. Philadelphia in Kansas City on Monday night. The Eagles are getting 2.5.
Toughest game of the week to pick, maybe the game of the year in the NFL. I like Philadelphia.
Who you like, Roger?
I kind of like Philadelphia, too. I hate going against Patrick, but I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I think I'm going to take Kansas City at home and the power of Taylor Swift. Give me the Chiefs, and I'll give you 2.5.
She's the only reason you're picking Kansas City.
I can't pick against Taylor. And that brings us to noon in Carolina on Sunday. Cowboys and Panthers. The Panthers are getting 10.5 at home.
I don't know how truly good the Cowboys are, but I do know that they are certainly good enough to destroy bad teams, and I think they do that again this week. Even though it's on the road, give me Dallas.
What do you think, Roger?
I agree. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think it's another Cowboys blowout. Panthers have all sorts of problems, and I think they'll have a big problem with the Cowboy defense. All right, Rod, you got a game tonight, too?
I do have Mount Vernon against Malakoff.
Okay. Have a good game.
All right, boys.
Thanks
you
for
a lot.
picking. All right, we'll see you. There goes Roger from Tyler. 7:08 on the ticket. Up next, Gordo and Muse in the news.
Going missing in Texas next. I'm just going to listen to that segment. I don't want to participate in it and overshadow that segment. So I'm going to sit that one out.
You can't.
Courage.
Well, I can't. I can do whatever I want. It's a free country.
You're the guy.
I'm not the guy. We all watched the documentary. That's what we'll talk about.
Yes.
All right. DFW International Airport may be laying the groundwork for air taxis. They entered into an agreement. Sounds weird. With a company from California. And it's called Over Air, and they fly Eve tolls. I don't know how you say that.
Are these the electric vehicles?
TOLs?
Or like helicopters, those things?
Yeah, so an EVTOL is an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. So it has those rotors, so it has 4 propellers, like one at each corner. Think of it like that. And those propellers can rotate so that you can do a vertical takeoff, and then the propellers go forward like a traditional prop plane, and then it can fly like a regular plane, except it has 4 propellers, one at each corner.
And they can haul butt, too.
Yeah, and they carry, I think, up to one of them known as the Butterfly, accommodates a pilot, 5 passengers, and luggage. It can fly 100 miles, has a maximum speed of 200 miles per hour.
I guess that's hauling 6 butts.
Yeah, so you would get off your plane at DFW and then get into one of these, and it could take you, if you live out in the somewhere, because it can't just land anywhere, can it?
No, I think initially they're talking about maybe going to, places like in Arlington, like outside AT&T Stadium. Maybe they're going to have a landing area there. That's the way I understood it.
And I guess it's not like you need a runway to land the thing. You just need a helipad, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What's the timeline here?
26?
Yeah, I don't have it in my store. Did you hear 26?
28.
28.
Okay.
And then ultimately the goal is to have these things be pilotless. So you won't have a human that's in there controlling it.
Okay. We'll all get there someday.
You'll get used to it. That's what we do. Technology takes people out of the loop, and we're always uncomfortable with it at first, but we eventually will grow accustomed to the idea. It's pretty cool.
So now we're going to need air traffic controllers for these things?
Well, we'll just leave it to the AI to control it.
Oh, okay.
And don't you think it'll be cool when everybody's in self-driving cars, and most people won't own a self-driving car. There'll just be a network of public transportation self-driving cars.
Just hop in.
Yeah, and then the AI will control the traffic patterns.
No traffic.
And you probably won't have, traffic lights. So an intersection will happen, and you just have cars crisscrossing in and out of each other because the AI knows how to control them perfectly.
The what does?
The crisscross traffic.
I said AI really weird.
AI. The gay eye.
You'll also have 1/100th of the accidents.
Right. You'll be a lot safer. But we'll just be the tub of lard sitting in the back being taken by our electronic overlords to wherever it is they want us to go.
It'll just give us more time to not to jump on our phones and play video games.
Right.
But then again, as I say that, we're doing that while we drive now anyway.
Exactly. That's our goal. So we'll be sitting back just jiggling with the bumps of the road as our eyes are rolled back in our heads as we're looking at our implanted contact lenses as delivering us a stream of amusement.
It's right around the corner.
I love it. Okay, so that's air taxis for you. There is a Houston hiker that has gone missing in Big Bend National Park.
That makes more sense because I was going to say nobody hikes in Houston.
Right. This woman traveled out to Big Bend National Park. Her name is Christy Perry. She is 25 years of age, 5'2", 100 pounds, Korean female, brown hair, brown eyes, and she's missing. They're looking for her. She picked up a rental car in Midland, arrived at the national park on November 9th, and she did not show up for her camping reservation that night at the campground. Her car later found at the trailhead for Lost Mine Trail.
I've hiked that.
Yeah, it's the most popular. I think it's one of the most popular trails there. But she doesn't show up, so now they're looking for her.
Doesn't sound good.
Always makes me nervous. Anybody, in particular a woman, hiking in the middle of nowhere by themselves.
Why don't you think women can hike by themselves?
It just makes me more nervous for them.
But why?
It makes me nervous for men as well.
Why?
I'll say whatever you want me to say. Just tell me.
Well,
I'll move my mouth and you say the words.
Isn't that basically what we want now? If we had our druthers, we just would like to choose all the words that the other people say, so they get them exactly right. Anyway, I hope they find her. The
Alive.
Number, yes, indeed. Well, I hope they find her no matter what, but I prefer alive. I don't want there to be a mystery out there. If something bad did happen to her, it's important for her family to know what happened. So if you were near the Lost Mine Trail on November 8th or November 9th and you saw her, please call the National Park Service at 8886-530909.
The worst delivering of a number ever.
888653.
What?
0009. That makes sense, right?
What are you doing?
The email address is nps_isb@nps.gov. I just read out the address. 888-653-0009 or nps_isb@nps.gov.
You know, if you're a hiker these days, it's a good idea to get one of those GPS devices because anything can happen on the trail. You can trip, knock yourself out, break something. And they're pretty cheap now, and they're pretty pinpoint accurate.
What is it, like a tracker that, and if you get in trouble, you hit it and it alerts people, or what happens?
I don't think you have to hit anything. It just is always sending a signal as to where you are.
So you just tell a loved one, hey, look, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be going on this hike. If you want to see where I am, you can log on this map and see me. Okay. Yeah. Seems smart, but you know it does also feel weird because one of the joys of hiking in nature is the feeling of being out of touch.
Yeah.
And when you're wearing a collar with a tracking device,
it's not a collar.
It's
a small thing you put in your pocket.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys have the thing on your phone where you share your location with a loved one so they know where you are at all times?
No.
Really? You aren't in relationships that make you do that? No. The Supreme Court has blocked enforcement of the Florida anti-drag show law. This was the law that was signed by the dude who wears the cowboy high heels. Ron DeSantis, earlier this year, aimed at restricting drag shows where children were present. They made it a crime to allow a child to attend what the state describes as sexually explicit live performances.
Problem where we're having drag shows in front of kids?
Well, there are. I have seen footage of drag shows that show kids in front, and I go, I don't know that's not really what I would know.
Yeah.
But it also comes down to the fact of, yeah, parents make horrible decisions all the time for children. Am I comfortable with the state stepping in, and like, where do we draw the line of you got to let parents make bad decisions, even though it does screw up children? But there's a lot of things my parents watched on TV that I wish the government had stepped in and said, hey, you can't watch that documentary on whatever, Bigfoot.
Right. Should parents be drinking alcohol in front of children?
Yeah, I mean, really, they shouldn't do that
foul
either.
Language and, yeah, I mean...
and, like, drag show, you mean to tell me... Like, I know the ones they're talking about because some of these drag shows get way out of hand. Mm-hmm. In my opinion. In other people's opinion, they love it. Right? When the guy in the leather thong is thrusting at people and everything, and that's supposed to be just a celebration of freedom or something.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a short circuiter, but like if a woman walks by in a tuxedo in front of my kid, do I really shield their eyes? No, I don't. Woman wearing a pantsuit, we're gonna...
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what kind of drag are you talking about here? What is drag? What am drag?
What am drag?
It's just a little funny that the guy who wears high heels doesn't want drag shows.
I know it. It's so strange to me. He wears high heels. He's violating his own law. Anyway. Carnival passenger banned for life because she had CBD gummies in her bag. And I think she's from here. Yeah, she's a Dallas-based nurse practitioner and chiropractor. She was initially flagged after an X-ray found metal nail clippers in her luggage as she was getting on this Carnival cruise ship. But security then detected a sealed pack of gummies, and she's freaking out. She's saying she didn't even have a parking ticket or anything, law-abiding citizen. She had these gummies in there, and Carnival Cruise forbids them on their cruise ships because they say, hey, we stop at ports where this stuff is illegal. Even though it may be legal in wherever you're from, it's not legal wherever we're going. And banned her for life.
Banned her for life, okay.
Yeah.
No big deal, just take another cruise ship.
I think Carnival owns like most of the cruise ships.
All of them?
Well, then don't go on cruises. Fly somewhere.
So you are against Melinda
like
Van
cruises.
Veldenhuizen. That's her name.
She broke the law, Gordon, and...
oh, gosh. I hate selective law and order guy. Selective law and order guy loves saying, hey, they broke the law. They deserve the consequences. Then their own leader may break a law, and it's like, yeah, but should that really be a law? It's like, oh, okay. All right, I'm so confused. Which way are we here?
Just move your mouth, and I'll say what I want you to say.
Right. That's what it all comes down to. This says Carissa. Is that her name? Carissa Thompson?
Yes.
Yep.
This is big news in the sports world.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a big deal, too. And I don't know if this makes me a boomer, but Carissa Thompson says that when she was a sideline reporter for NFL games, she would sometimes just make up reports. She said that she would make up conversations that she had with coaches and players, you know, that happened before or right after halftime. Her quote was, I've said this before, so I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the reports sometimes because, A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime or was too late, and I was like, I don't want to screw up the report, so I was like, I'm just going to make this up. And she said there was no harm in anything she would say to audiences. She said, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves, we need to be better on third down, we need to stop turning the ball over and do a better job of getting off the field. Like they're going to correct me on that. I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
It's pretty bad.
It's bad, but I mean, I guess it didn't shock me because don't they sound made up sometimes? And I talked to Ron Rivera and he said, hey, we got to stop turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Really?
And here he is having the time
That's the only sideline
Did
reporter
he really know
been...
he was having the time of his life?
But I see two other options for her. One, you tell the producer, didn't get Rivera. He blew right by me. He didn't say anything to me. Or two, you're a national network reporter. You have something as a backup.
Right.
Hey, I saw
note, a bit of research.
Yeah, I saw this offensive lineman limping in at halftime. He didn't come out. You know, something else.
Talked to the team trainer. He said he's not going to play in the second half.
The way she's describing it, that's just pure laziness.
Yeah, it is.
I know, but I wonder if it's just us that has a problem with it because of the history of sports media or something like that. That's the way it used to be done, and now it's like,
I think fans
but as long as it's
care.
entertaining, it's entertaining.
Well,
whatever
fans
you say.
shouldn't care. If you're making a big deal like, hey, let's get the latest from the sidelines, it ought to be the latest. Or maybe just get rid of them. Okay, that's a option.
I think why are we policing women's jobs here?
It doesn't have to be a woman.
She felt that like we forced her to make this up by putting her in a high-pressure situation, not supporting her. Although Aaron Andrews also said that she did it sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
She was on with Aaron Andrews back in 2022, and she said that she would sometimes make up sideline reports, and Andrews also said that she had done that for a coach that she didn't want to throw under the bus.
Wow.
Troubling.
Yay.
But other women in reporting also came out against this and said that this is very irresponsible to do such a thing. Rachel McAdams is 45.
The Notebook.
Yeah, I love her. Got the booty. Got the whole package.
Hey.
Lorne Michaels is 79.
Still going.
Yeah,
Still producing
he did
SNL.
something to his face that gave him a Muppet mouth. Yes, that's what I mean. Happy birthday. Happy birthday goes without saying. Lauren Hutton is 80. She's the one with a gap in her teeth, right?
Yes. Loved her back in the day.
Why not? She's still having a day, so what do you mean?
How about today?
She's
You
still
didn't let
alive.
me finish. And I love her today. If you would let me finish.
Scrambled out of it. Chris Hemsworth is 40. I think it ought to be Helmsworth.
Yes.
That's easier for me to understand, so he needs to change his name for me. Daisy Fuentes, 57. Dylan Walsh, 60. Danny DeVito is 79.
Wow.
You know, a very underrated career. That guy is still making content, at least has been as of recent years.
Sandwich commercials.
And he was on It's Always Sunny.
Yep.
He was on Taxi.
He was great in Taxi.
He's done a lot of things.
Yep.
Uh-oh. What's wrong, George? You don't like Danny DeVito?
He's always kind of creeped me out. I'm sorry on his birthday and everything. I'm
He's
sorry.
a national treasure.
I know. I feel terrible about it.
Marty Scorsese is 81.
And I don't think he's funny.
Marty Scorsese? He's not funny?
Danny DeVito.
Miley Cyrus is 31.
There we go.
George loved her.
Here we go.
George loved her cow tongue phase.
She's got great songs.
Ryan Braun, 40. I don't know who that is.
Former MVP.
Mitch Williams, 59.
Mitch the Pitch.
Reggie Wayne, 45. I've heard of none of these people. Bobby Joe Conrad, former Dallas Cowboys WR 1969.
Wide receiver. All right, anybody
that's
else?
all it says here. He was a wide receiver in 1969? Or that was when he was born?
Probably could omit that birthday. No offense to him.
Gosh. You're up to date.
All right, that's Muse 733 on the ticket. Coming up next, Friday morning Scattershooting.
And now it's time for Friday morning Scattershooting with your old pal, Junior Miller, right here on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
Scattershooting while wondering whatever happened to Barron Trump.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
Not in a long time.
I think he's really tall, isn't he?
I think so. Aggieland is reeling this week after the expensive Jimbo Fisher firing. The return on investment just wasn't there for A&M. When you add it all up, Jimbo cost $2.6 million per win, $4.3 million per conference win, and $11.7 million per win over a ranked team. All of that 200 to 300% more expensive than what Kevin Sumlin wins cost the school.
Wow.
And while nobody knows who the next Aggies coach will be, the school has an unfortunate history of bringing in head coaches that perform better at other schools. Kyle Umlang points out this week that the three national championships have been won at other schools by head coaches before arriving at A&M, and 8 national championships have been won at other schools by head coaches after leaving A&M. But they didn't get any of that done while at A&M. Last week, the Cowboys were favored by 16.5 over the Giants, and they easily beat that spread. It was the largest point spread in a few years in the NFL, but not the largest all time. Back in 2013, in Week 6, the Broncos, who ended up going to the Super Bowl that season, were favored to beat the then lowly Jaguars by 28 points. They did not cover, only beating Jacksonville by a score of 35-19. The second biggest point spread ever was in 1976, Week 13. The dominant Pittsburgh Steelers were favored by 27 to beat the expansion Buccaneers. They won 42-0, which made the Steelers the only team in NFL history to cover a point spread of more than 20.
Whoa.
Browns great Myles Garrett recorded his 10th and 11th sacks of the season last weekend, joining an exclusive NFL club of guys with the most consecutive 10-plus sack seasons. The all-time leader is Reggie White, who had 9 straight seasons of double-digit sacks, then John Randall with 8, and tied for third are Garrett, Jared Allen, Bruce Smith, Lawrence Taylor, and Cowboys Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware. Random NFL notes this week. Zach Wilson is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 250 or more yards in back-to-back weeks, but not have his team score an offensive touchdown in either game.
Oh, no.
They lost to both the Raiders and the Chargers. And against the Saints, the Vikings' T.J. Hawkinson became the first tight end in NFL history to have 10 receptions, 125 receiving yards, and a touchdown catch, all in just one half of a game.
Dang.
Baseball's MVP awards were handed out last night, and to no one's surprise, Shohei Ohtani and Ronald Acuna Jr. were the American and National League winners. Ohtani led the junior circuit with 44 home runs, while also ranking among the top pitchers in the league before his injury, while Acuna became the first ever member of the 40-50, 40-60, and 40-70 home run stolen base clubs. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien of the Rangers were second and third in the voting behind Ohtani, and historically, the Rangers have done pretty well with this award, winning it 6 times, starting with Jeff Burrows back in 1974. Juan Gonzalez won it twice, Pudge got one, A-Rod got one, and so did Josh Hamilton. Blake Snell and Garrett Cole won the Cy Young Awards this week in the National and American Leagues. It was the second for Snell, the first for Cole. The award was first handed out in 1956, with Don Newcombe winning it, back when it only went to one pitcher for the entire majors. In 1967, they started handing out a Cy Young to the best pitcher in each league. Roger Clemens is the record holder with 7, although he's not in the Hall of Fame, just like the all-time hits leader and the all-time home run leader aren't in the Hall of Fame. Randy Johnson won 5, Greg Maddux and Steve Carlton each won 4, and still, no Texas Ranger has ever won a Cy Young. Yu Darvish and Fergie Jenkins came the closest. They each were runners-up.
One of these years.
Only the Rangers and Rockies have never had a pitcher win a Cy Young.
Okay.
Major League Baseball's competition committee is thinking about reducing the pitch clock with runners on base from 20 seconds to 18 seconds next season because of a late-season trend that saw the average time of game increase by 7 minutes. The time increased throughout the season as hitters and pitchers adjusted to the new rules. The average game time was 2:37 in April, but it jumped to 2:39 in June, 2:40 in July, 2:41 in August, and 2:44 in September. The committee will also talk about cutting down mound visits from 5 per game to 4. And the baseball world lost a family member this week when Padres owner Peter Seidler passed away. He was the grandson of famed Dodgers owner Walter O'Malley, and he will certainly be remembered among Padres faithful as the guy who spent big for free agents like Manny Machado and making the team competitive again despite the fact San Diego is a bottom third TV market in Major League Baseball. Peter Seidler, who had long battled cancer, was just 63 years old.
Well, that's young.
A great college basketball note this week. Baylor's men beat Gardner-Webb on Sunday, but that's not the story. The Bears went 0 for 9 from 3, ending a streak of 1,032 games played with at least one made three-pointer. The last time a Baylor team didn't make at least one three-point shot was February 21st, 1990, in a Southwest Conference game against Texas Tech.
Man.
It's one of the longest streaks in college history. The all-time streak, and it's still active, is held by UNLV, 1,195 games in a row with at least one three-pointer made. The Rebels have made a three-pointer in every single game since the three-point shot was introduced in college basketball at the start of the 1986-87 season.
That's incredible. Do you think anyone on the Baylor bench knew that the streak was about to end?
No. I bet they had no idea. I had never heard of this streak.
No, I hadn't heard of it
until
either.
This week.
It is funny, though. There's proof that they were talking about it on the Cowboys sideline for C.D. Lamb.
Yeah.
This Sunday.
Oh, yeah. The Iceman told us yesterday about his record attempt, trying to win the scoring title. And
right.
Everybody knew it going in, and they were going to get him those points.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but I don't think Baylor had any idea. Gordo broke the story yesterday that Jimmy Kimmel will be hosting the Oscars next spring. It'll be the fourth time hosting for Kimmel. That's a long way from the record. Bob Hope hosted 19 times from 1940 to as late as 1978.
And Gordo always rags on him.
Well, I ragged on older Bob Hope, which was unfair of me. Everybody gets old. But
for his time, the jokes they landed.
But yeah, back in his day, I need to go back and watch some of those, whatever those road movies are he did with Crosby or whatever, Bing Crosby.
Funny.
I mean, I know that he's respected by a lot of comedians that I do respect. So there's obviously something to him. And I think Bugs Bunny may have been patterned off of some of Bob Hope's stuff. And
I saw some clips of him hosting the Oscars, and his jokes were good.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were funny. They still hold up.
I just hated that stupid high school athlete show that he used to do.
College.
Yeah, whatever.
All Americans, yeah.
Yeah, he's so big, he is the buffet. It was so weird and lame.
Billy Crystal has hosted the second most times, 9. Johnny Carson hosted 5. Douglas Fairbanks was the first Oscars host back in 1929.
That's good trivia.
This week's least competent criminal is 26-year-old Alexander Funk, no relation to Fred, who had broken into the Arlington Auto Wrecking Facility in Akron, Ohio 3 times. But in the most recent incident, Funk broke into an SUV on the lot, and before he could drive away, a forklift driver hoisted the car about 20 feet off the ground with Funk inside. When they explained the situation to the 911 operator, the operator said, "Wonderful, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard." Officers arrived and Funk was lowered to the ground and then handcuffed. And finally, an old college professor started each lecture with a dirty joke. After a really offensive joke one day, the female students got together and decided that the next time he does this, they'll all walk out of the class in unison. The professor got wind of this plot. So the next morning, after he entered the lecture hall, he said, "Good morning. Have you all heard about the shortage of prostitutes in Alaska?" All the female students stood up and headed toward the exit. Okay. The professor continued, "Oh, ladies, please wait. The plane to Alaska doesn't leave until tomorrow." Okay. "We know," said one of the women, "but it takes all of us at least a day to get your mom to the airport."
Okay. All right. He did a reverse on it.
That's Friday Morning Scattershooting, the only radio segment in America that can hit a knuckleball.
Thanks for hanging out with your old pal Junior Miller for another edition of Friday Morning Scattershooting. We'll see you next Friday right here on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
All right, next in the emergency break of the week, we have some funny words, and we're going to have a funny flashback here in just 4 minutes.
It's time for the emergency break of the week. That moment when programming is brought to a complete halt by a wheels-off comment or technical meltdown.
Anyway, I had one bite of that pumpernickel bagel, and then I had to open the door of their Oldsmobile station wagon and not hurl, but get rid of it. Get rid of it.
What about
because I don't like that? Because I don't like rye bread. It wasn't anything with their bagels necessarily. I just didn't know what pumpernickel was. Oh, that sounds like a funny name. I'll try that one.
What about a bagel with a little egg and bacon in betwixt? In between.
Boy, that sounded. What happened?
I don't know.
Your voice went weird.
I was right between.
You
in
went
between and in
betwixt.
betwixt.
What?
In between.
You sounded like the guy who's running the press conferences in the ALCS.
Okay, right over here, folks.
Let's see who yanked the brake the hardest this week on the Little Ticket.
Yes, the emergency break of the week brought to us by Crawford Services, AC and Plumbing. We're going to give you 3 candidates. You get to vote on them. 888-787-1310. And we start off with a similar theme and words that are said in a funny way. We haven't had a good robot word in a while. Someone says a word and it sounds like they're a robot.
Robart.
Or Robart, since we have Killer producing this morning. Well, Craig had one of those moments, so Junior, you are up as candidate number 1.
He asked the truck driver about the romance of the road, and the truck driver laughed in my face. He said if being tired all the time and pooping in a trash bag and peeing in a milk jug is romantic.
Well, I do that doing this job, so what's the difference?
Can you
George.
imagine if he never left the studio for that?
And you just went in the trash can over there? Just sit on the trash can. Of course, it collapses under you because of that little plastic
That's what
thing.
happens in here.
We also got on the subject of lot lizards.
And?
You know what a lot lizard is? There's probably a lot of listeners who don't.
Prostitute.
What?
Prostitute.
That was very robot Craig.
Robart.
Prostitute.
Prostitute. In a truck stop parking lot.
Yes. He says there are multiple.
All right, we got another robot word. Should we break down that word, by the way? Pros, that doesn't really mean anything.
Overrated scene from Night Shift.
Very underrated movie.
I think we all know what the second syllable means.
2.
Shun, to push away, to say no thank you. Doesn't really fit in this word. That was Michael Keaton's greatest role.
Yeah,
Bill Blazkowski.
I did always love
So
that scene.
But yeah, Junior, we got a new drop of you now.
Prostitute. Well, that is Robot Junior.
Robot. That's funny. All right. Craig is candidate number 1. Candidate number 2, Davy Lane. He says Shakespeare with a really weird accent on a certain syllable. It makes the word funny.
In the class than they had boys.
Yeah.
And so they're just dressing in overalls for the production, whatever. And so it had been a controversy for 2 weeks because the principal just made this unilateral decision that no, you cannot play a role on stage, which dating back to Shakespeare.
Right.
Shakespeare. Shakespearean times. That men played women all the time and women played men. It doesn't matter. Anyways.
Why did you say it like
Shakespeare. I don't know. All right.
Dating back to Shakespeare.
And then here's the last one. This is gone viral in Haltom City.
That was
It's
funny.
like Dave getting all worked up until he finally hit the word Shakespeare. All right, one more time.
In the class than they had boys.
Yeah.
And so they're just dressing in overalls for the production, whatever. And so it had been a controversy for 2 weeks because the principal just made this unilateral decision that no, you cannot play a role on stage, which dating back to Shakespeare.
Right.
Shakespeare. Shakespearean times. That men played women all the time and women played men. It doesn't matter. Anyways.
Why did you say it like
Shakespeare. I don't know. All right.
Dating back to Shakespeare.
And then here's the last one. This is gone viral in Haltom City.
All right, there's Davey as candidate number 2. Candidate number 3, it comes to us from the sweet spot. Sean Bass. Do you remember, it was a few years back when Sean had a really long question to Rick Carlisle? It was just like it was yesterday.
Well, you talk about the depth on this team, and it seems like at the point, obviously winning 10 straight, you're in a good way, but it seems like guys are starting to, I guess, find comfort in their roles. Deshaun Stevenson, I think, has started 15, 16 straight games now. Sean Marion has been very productive off the bench. Jed is himself. Brendan Haywood has been, I would say, very good over the last handful of games. And do you worry, though, when Roddy B gets back that, you're going to have to maybe change up some of this chemistry that you've already established?
No.
Now, I said,
Yeah, I remember that. That was the what? Well, the sweet spot now, Sean Bass, David Mino. They have on Matt Duchene, who's really having a productive year for the Stars. Newcomer on the team, and he's great. Gives a lot of insight, but we had a very similar moment this week when Duchene hopped on with the sweet spot.
It's the Matt Duchene Show here on the Sweet Spot, which is brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, and Scenic Views. Matt, thank you so much for the time today, sir. Appreciate you spending some time with us after your practice today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we had a bit of a down day today anyway, so yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, nothing down about the way you guys are playing right now, and you in particular, a 4-game goal streak, and obviously the winner last night in overtime was sweet, but I do want to talk about that cross-ice pass to Tyler Sagan at the blue line that tied things up against Arizona last night. That was mighty fine, my friend.
I appreciate it.
So it's your first year here in Dallas.
Oh, my God.
I appreciate it.
So awkward.
now,
So now Sean, with a co-host, can just hand it off to Mino. That was Mino's job then to recover from that. But
it's the slowest handoff to Mino I've ever heard.
One more time.
It's the Matt Duchene Show here on the Sweet Spot, which is brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, and Scenic Views. Matt, thank you so much for the time today, sir. Appreciate
too is pretty good.
You spending some time with us after your practice today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we had a bit of a down day today anyway, so yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, nothing down about the way you guys are playing right now, and you in particular, a 4-game goal streak, and obviously the winner last night in overtime was sweet, but I do want to talk about that cross-ice pass to Tyler Sagan at the blue line that tied things up against Arizona last night. That was mighty fine, my friend.
I appreciate it.
So it's your first year here in Dallas.
Oh, man, that's so great. From the, we got a new drop of anytime you hear that someone's getting laid out on. So is it Robot Jr., Gen X Davy Shakespeare, or Sean? 888-787-1310. Hello, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Hey, Gordo, it's Cruz and Lido.
Hey, Cruz.
Hey, wanted to shout out to the godfather of Parker County sports, one Nolan Ruth. Hi, combative Lisa, and I vote for Junior's Lot Lizard.
Okay. Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Yes, I'd like to vote for the Foo Fighters and Hooter Brown.
Okay.
The Foo Fighters?
Yeah, is he trying to be Liam Neeson when the Foo Fighters? Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins? Hello?
Hello?
All right, let's try this sports caller. You are on the air. Who wins the e-brake?
Yeah, give me Gen X Davy and his Christopher Walken impersonation of pronouncing Shakespeare opening for Foo Fighters.
Yeah, there you go.
Shakespeare. Foo Fighters.
Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Hi there, guys. This is Fake Gene over here.
Is that Fake Gene?
Fake Gene?
Yeah, guys, this is Fake Gene over here.
Okay, gotcha.
Really good.
I'm gonna vote for Sean Bass. Hey there, guys. I got a question. What's Catholic and holy? JFK. Bye-bye.
All right, come on.
You're on probation.
Gene.
Real Gene would not do that.
No, that's terrible. Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Good morning, Musers. Let me vote for Sean Bass, and you guys have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. Hello, you're on the ticket, America's favorite radio station.
Oh, hi, users.
Hey, Triple Fake Tiger.
Can I vote for Davey, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's great.
Vote. Who do you vote for?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins?
Yeah, give me Robot Jr.
Okay. Thanks for the vote. Hello, you're on the ticket, AM, FM, and stream.
Good morning, users. It's Ashley, and I like to vote for Davey.
Okay.
How old are you now, Ashley?
I'm 13.
Happy birthday.
Dang, teenager.
She's been calling since she was
Merry
10
Christmas.
or 11.
Or 9, maybe?
9?
Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Ooh, give that to the robot. Ooh.
There's Junior. There's Fake Junior.
Hello, you are on Ticket Radio.
I'm betwixt with Shakespeare.
Okay, thanks. Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins the e-brake?
Gang, 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 gang. Ice cream so good. Gang, 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 gang. Prostitute. Gang, gang.
He's doing an NPC thing.
He's a robot?
Well, it's this woman who makes a lot of money being an NPC online.
Okay.
But he did say prostitute. So
yes, that's a junior vote there. Hi, you're on the ticket. Who wins?
Am I voting?
Yes.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty place from day to day until the last syllable of recorded time. Life is but a walking shadow.
That's Shakespeare.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a winner, Gen X Davey.
In the class than they had boys.
Yeah.
And so they're just dressing in overalls for the production, whatever. And so it had been a controversy for 2 weeks because the principal just made this unilateral decision that no, you cannot play a role on stage, which dating back to Shakespeare.
Right.
Shakespeare. Shakespearean times. That men played women all the time and women played men. It doesn't matter. Anyways.
Why did you say it like
Shakespeare. I don't know. All right.
Dating back to Shakespeare.
And then here's the last one. This is gone viral in Haltom City.
How many wins is that for Davey?
That is Davey's 14th win, leaving him 121 wins behind Norm. I ain't never gonna quit smoke Hitzkis.
What just happened?
You're okay there, Killer. You're fine.
Getting my nomination in for next week.
All right, there is Gen X Davey winning the e-brake. It's 8:08 on the ticket. We're almost to the 60th anniversary of the day that changed America, and it happened right here in Dallas. And we'll talk about it next.
Patreon.com/sportsgreek.
We're going to be on vacation for part of next week. We'll be in Monday and Tuesday. We'll have a lot of football to talk about. And on Wednesday, it is the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy here in Dallas. We won't be in on that day. So here in this segment, we're going to talk about the 60th anniversary of the biggest event in the history of the Metroplex. And in particular, because the three of us just finished watching the series, docu-series on Nat Geo, JFK One Day in America. And it's 3 parts, 45 minutes each. A lot of great old footage. I thought it was incredibly well done, and I came out of that, and we kind of blew through it all last night, watching 2.5 of the 3 episodes last night. And once that was over, I had this overwhelming feeling of sadness. I was just sad for the Kennedys, in particular, Jackie and the children. I was sad for America. It brought back memories of my dad retelling the story, and I'll tell more about that here in a little bit, of him being there that day. He saw John F. Kennedy 1 minute before he was killed. Just left me with a feeling of tremendous sadness and almost a weight as I relived that through all of that video that I had never seen before, a lot of it.
I know. And it seems like I do that to myself every November when I go back and watch this. You bring back those emotions. But I got to tell you, for a documentary, I thought this did maybe the best job I've ever seen of just giving you the feel of that time period of 1963 and what Dallas was like, what America was like, what it was like to be on Elm Street anxiously awaiting not only the president of the United States, but his wife, Jackie.
She was the star of the trip.
Yes, she was so elegant, and she was just like a princess. She was like royalty, and I thought that was really interesting. The day
she was the Meghan Markle of her day.
Okay, there you go. The morning of the assassination, they had gone to Fort Worth first, and there was a breakfast there. And originally, she was not going to be at the breakfast. And once JFK got down there and kind of read the room,
and everyone was asking about her.
Everyone was asking about her.
Arrive?
Women just kind of looking around, looking up at the table, wondering why there's an empty seat. He got word to the Secret Service, bring Jackie down here. And she enters, and it's like one of the Beatles entering a room. The place goes crazy.
Yeah, because this was a very important trip for Kennedy. He won Texas by 2% or lost it by 2%.
He won it, but it was very close.
Yeah. And he was, trying to gear up to campaign again and everything, and was making this trip to Dallas to basically as a campaign goodwill thing, trying to get his campaign going down here. And she was such a star that's the thing that made the trip so successful.
Yeah.
Was that she was with him.
And as it's told by those who are still surviving, who were there that day, who were a part of this, that was really interesting. It's Clint Hill, Secret Service, who was assigned to Jackie. So was Paul Landis in the Secret Service. Ruth Payne, who was the Oswald's landlord.
No, she was
just a friend.
She was the woman that Marina Oswald and Oswald's two children were living with out in Irving. Yeah.
Okay. That's why I thought landlord, but okay, yeah. She was living with as they were separated. Buell Frazier, who was the co-worker of Oswald, who drove him to the school book depository that day. And I didn't realize this. I guess I knew this and forgotten it. He was also arrested that day because he was with Oswald earlier in the day. And a guy who got a lot of camera time is someone that Craig and I know really well, Bill Mercer, former voice of the Cowboys, the Rangers, of course, wrestling at the Sportatorium, and the longtime voice of North Texas Athletics. We took his class. That's how we got to know Bill. And through the years, we would ask him about things like the Ice Bowl, wrestling, but we would also talk to him about these 3 days in Dallas because at the time, before he was the voice of the Cowboys, he was a news anchor for KRLD TV, then Channel 4 here in Dallas. And this was really significant. News reporting changed that day here in Dallas because for the first time, they started going to live reports from a location, either there on Elm Street or in this case from Dallas Police Headquarters. This is Bill reporting live on the air as they were bringing in this character named Lee Harvey Oswald, and he was reporting from the hallways of Dallas headquarters.
It was mayhem at the police station. And it was the first time we did news live on a location.
The rumor, if you did not happen to see the gentleman, the rumor has been rampant around the police department that there is a very good case that this is the man who they believe was involved in the assassination.
This was the biggest news story that any one of us ever covered. It was a relief when they brought him in to realize that he had been found and, okay, maybe we got this guy. Maybe he's not going to get away. He was nondescript, I guess we'd call it. Just a little guy. Maybe we see too many movies of what these killers look like, but this guy just didn't have any appearance of anger or desperation or afraid. He was just there.
As Bill said, it was mayhem. Can you imagine being a reporter? You're going live. That's kind of a new thing. And here they bring in a guy who they think killed the president, and they parade him right by you.
And allow him to do a news conference.
That was crazy.
Which we're going to get to here in a second.
By the way, Bill's 97 now and still...
Is he really?
Really sharp. Didn't he look great?
Wow.
Yeah, he did.
And he said that was the first time they had done any kind of news reporting live from a location. Did you see the cameras? They were studio cameras.
Right, and we saw those same cameras in Kilgore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have them in the broadcast museum.
They
took the studio cameras from the station 5 blocks away and brought them down to the police station.
Yeah, so he could report live.
Huge cameras.
And that must have been wild, too, is it kind of changed how we follow stories. Now you tuned into TV. It wasn't radio. I mean, a lot of people did listen to radio back then for news reports, but now enter the age of instant news reporting on TV. And then, the midnight press conference with this Lee Harvey Oswald, who they brought down to Dallas Police Headquarters. And we've talked to Bill about this before, but I had no idea that he was just a couple of feet away from Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, he was on the front row. Bill was on the front row.
And as you're going to hear him explain here, he told Oswald some very important information that I guess he didn't know at the time.
I really don't know what the situation is about. Nobody has told me anything except that I'm accused of murdering a police chief. I know nothing more than that.
I was down at the edge of the stage there. The reporter next to me said, "Did you kill the president?"
No, I've not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about it was when the newspaper reporters in the hall asked me that question.
And as he turned facing me, I said, "Yes, you have. You have been charged with the murder of the president." He kind of moved his head back. And he said, "What?" And I said, "You have been charged with the murder of the president."
You have been.
Nobody said what? Sir?
You have been.
Nobody said what?
That was Oswald. Lee Oswald, who was charged with the murder of the President of the United States. He's been taken back upstairs.
That was one of the rare times when we saw any real reaction. I think it kind of burst his balloon of thinking he was getting away with something.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Bill
so
never told us that he was the one who told...
Bill Mercer was the
Yes.
one that informed, first of all, the Dallas police, informing the press that they've charged Oswald with this before they tell Oswald himself.
Right.
That's just a head scratcher.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Bill Mercer was the guy who broke it to Oswald that he had been charged with killing the president.
And then you heard some of the live coverage there of Bill saying, that's Oswald now being taken away. That ended the press conference right there. It was amazing footage, and we've seen the footage before, but I thought they brought a lot of context to it as to the order of it, what it was like, and the live reports. It was really good, and I think that's right, Junior. After watching it, and then the next day, the craziness, all of a sudden, Jack Ruby ends the life of Oswald. He's also taken to Parkland Hospital, the same trauma room. They can't save him, so you don't
They took him in a different one. They started to wheel him into Trauma Room 1.
Oh, they did?
And somebody
That was a different
stopped him
one.
and said, hey, let's not take him in there. And they go to Trauma Room, I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Also, the tragedy of Oswald killing J.D. Tippett, a cop just doing his job.
I know.
That was very
and
sad.
That gets so overlooked in all of this, because the president was shot and killed. But an officer getting shot and killed back then is extremely rare and traumatizing. And yeah, that's what if you want to look at Oswald, this is the crazy thing about the conspiracy theory industry, is that it went from, the conspiracy theory was that someone was involved with Oswald doing this. And now, believe it or not, the prevailing conspiracy theories are all that Oswald had nothing to do with any of this and was completely innocent.
Didn't even fire a shot.
No, didn't fire a shot. Was a complete setup. And the way you see Oswald in these things, he's just as surprised as anyone else at these press conference, and as he's being led around. Like, that's where it's gotten to, because the Oswald being in it with other people lost its heroin hit.
Right.
And it wasn't a big enough thumb in the eye to the lone gunman people, so then you get it to where it's now Oswald had nothing whatsoever to do with this, despite the incredible amount of evidence against Oswald. You want to look at the guilt of the person, look at the way Oswald acted after the assassination. Just start from there. What kind of guy who took all this interest in politics before was claims that he was completely uninterested in even going out and watching the president drive by, the leader of the free world that he had criticized capitalism in America for so long, was interested in Russian and Soviet form of government such that he even defected to Russia. He was uninterested in Kennedy going by. When it happened afterwards, he didn't even stop around to talk with people about the incident that just happened out front. He was completely uninterested in that.
Right.
They tell him, hey, the president was just assassinated. He had no follow-up questions or even like, what, are you serious? None of that. He decides that he just figured that there's going to be no more work today, so he's the only employee that leaves the school book depository to go to his rooming house.
The only one who wasn't on roll call when the police went there.
Yeah, and when the police did roll call after the assassination, he's the one that's missing. He goes to his rooming house. Rather than catch a bus right there that would take him right to his rooming house, he ends up going and getting a cab for the first time in his life to ride a cab home to his rooming house. And what does he do at his rooming house? Does he sit there and, oh man, after a half day of work, I'm going to kick back and relax? No. He grabs two things, a change of clothes, changes his pants, and puts on a different jacket. He left his first jacket at the school book depository. And so changes his clothes and grabs a pistol. That's what you do when you think, I'm going to have a day off from work because of this big thing happened and I'm just going to relax. Grabs a pistol and then leaves and goes and walks towards where he eventually ends up at 10th and Patton, where a police officer stops him, and he ends up shooting and killing the police officer. Once again, only because the police officer interrupted his afternoon off.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some people who say he didn't even kill Tippett, but yet the gun that killed Tippett the bullet was traced to Oswald's gun. At least one of them was. A couple of them were inconclusive because Oswald was dealing with a bored-out Victory pistol. That's what he had bought at a sporting goods surplus store.
And there were witnesses.
There were like 11 witnesses that saw him, traced his movements afterwards, and he takes a pistol on his afternoon off, kills a police officer on his way to just go watch a movie. How many other people in Dallas acted like that after the assassination? How many people after the president was killed decided that was the afternoon to see a movie then you needed a pistol to do it with?
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes no sense. But now Oswald is completely innocent of the crime, which is crazy-making to someone who just wants to look at the evidence. You know, the conspiracy theorists will do a trick to where they get you so focused on the trees rather than how all the trees make up a forest.
Yeah.
And so they will get so focused on trees, and sometimes it's not just trees, it's the individual leaves, and they want you to stare at an acorn for forever to keep you from zooming out to look at how all of this evidence fits together to point to one big picture. But they want to keep you focused on the pixels so much that you never even see the whole picture.
Yeah.
But when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, it becomes very clear what happened that day. And I noticed something interesting with the conspiracy theorists when I went down there to Dealey Plaza. It may have been even on the 50th anniversary. And this has happened a couple times to me. I go down there and I talk, and I end up getting into conversations with people who are down there, which are all conspiracy theorists. And I'll ask, I'll start talking, and then about 6 guys will get up around me, right? And none of them have consistent logic. That's one thing you'll notice about a conspiracy theorist. He'll be inconsistent with himself. He'll say things like, not one single bit of evidence against Oswald. Then he'll say, well, there's 26 volumes of evidence in the Warren Commission against Oswald, but it's all full of discrepancies. Mm-hmm. And then he'll say that there's so much evidence against Oswald, it's too perfect. It's clearly evidence of a frame-up because the evidence is so good against him. He'll say those 3 things in the same paragraph, and he never stops to think, oh, wait, that doesn't agree with the previous thing that I said about how there being no evidence against him. So he doesn't have internal self-consistent logic. And then he doesn't mind contradicting himself. All he wants to do is contradict you. So when I sat there and talked to those people at Dealey Plaza, I get 5 different guys in front of me, and they all are yelling at me, and I'm trying to calm it down and try to talk about this piece of evidence, that piece of evidence, but they all hate that I'm doing lone gunman talk.
Do they know you have his bathtub?
They don't know I have his bathtub. Then I'll ask them, okay, well, what do you think happened? And they get calm and orderly, and each one gives me his explanation of what happened in Dealey Plaza that day and who was responsible for it. One will say the FBI, one will say LBJ, one will say the military-industrial complex, one will say the mob, one will say the Secret Service guy in the limo back behind JFK.
The Russians.
And the Russians. They will say the Russians. And I ask how many shots were fired and from where. 7 shots were fired, 6 different locations. 5 shots were fired, 4 different locations. 8 shots were fired from 3 different locations. 3 shots were fired, and 1 dart from an umbrella was fired at him, from 3 different locations. They all say that. And then they never, it's the most calm and orderly part of any discussion with them that I have down there. They each listen to each other, take a turn, and say these things. Meanwhile, the guy before him has said 100 things that contradict his pet theory.
Right.
He never even utters a single word in opposition to the guy right in front of him that said all those things.
As long as it's conspiracy, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Which goes to show me there's something else at work here. It's not about that person's arguing that their version of the truth is the correct one. It's about they love the other people there that are also flooding the zone with smoke on the lone gunman battlefield. That's all they're interested in.
And I've always liked what you've said, too, about, yes, there was a lot of moving parts. We've only covered 1/100th of all the moving parts that were going on those days here in Dallas. And it just seems hard for you to believe that one guy could cause all that. But yes, if you got 3 shots off on the President of the United States and then later killed a Dallas police officer, and then you were shot because of the horrible things you just did, the mayhem that Bill talked about would be caused by one person.
Right. It's a proportionality bias is what they call it, where something that happens that's so big must have a huge cause as well. If the consequences are so huge, the cause must be really huge too.
Right.
But the fact of it is, we do live in a world in which someone can take a vehicle and plow into a crowd and kill 50 people. Some nut can get up in a suite in Las Vegas and shoot 200 people and 50 some odd of them die.
Yeah.
One person can cause tremendous, tremendous mayhem. And they have a weapon in which they can do it. That's why we argue about gun control every time there's a mass shooting, because one human can cause incredible destruction and devastation. And Lee Harvey Oswald did on that day.
To see some of the people interviewed 60 years later still not able to finish a thought or a sentence because they get choked up shows just how heavy that was for America at the time. And I'll tell the story next week of the story my dad has told me several times. Had told me. And every time he told the story, he got choked up 40 years later, 50 years later, 60 years later. And to see those people last night watching that interviewed and all the people they talked to on the streets and all the people weeping, and the one reporter who said it didn't matter what political party, you kind of liked the guy and you just felt for his family, and to be murdered in such an awful way, it was too much for the country to handle. And 60 years later, for a lot of people, it's still too much to handle.
Yeah.
All right, 8:36 here on the ticket. Coming up next, speaking of those conspiracy theorists, we've got one on the line. 8:45 on the ticket. Last segment, we talked about the 60th anniversary of the assassination of President Kennedy that happened right here in Dallas. And joining us now on the ticket hotline is a noted conspiracy theorist who wants to talk about that historical event. I'm sorry, sir, what was your name?
My name is Chaz Wittledit. I'm an author and lecturer. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
That's okay.
Chaz Wittledit.
Chaz Wittledit, yes.
All right, so what is your take on the assassination?
Well, what happened on November 22nd, 1963 was one of the worst things to ever happen to our country.
Well,
yes, that the president was murdered in such a public, awful way.
No, I mean that we blamed an innocent man for a horrible crime. That's the real tragedy.
Oh,
okay.
my gosh.
Look, it's obvious that Oswald did not kill Kennedy, and anyone with half a brain can see that. So we've got that part covered here. But the real question is not did Oswald kill Kennedy? The real question is why did we allow the CIA and the mob to pay off the Secret Service to allow Jackie's hit on her husband to take place.
Oh, my gosh. That is way out there.
Look, you guys, well, of course, you know about the 7 martyrs.
No.
Well, the 7 martyrs is you can look this up. It's in my book. The 7 martyrs are a secret world governing organization who had made several offhanded comments about wanting to get Kennedy out of the way. Now, you mean to tell me it's just a coincidence that Kennedy is killed after they make these offhanded comments?
Well, yeah, 7 random people, yes.
I mean, it beggars reason.
Well, no, I mean, what about all the evidence that ties Oswald to the rifle and the location? And, I mean, there's a lot of evidence. That's the evidence that we ought to be focused on.
Well, that little bedtime story you just spun is a nice little bit of fiction, George. It really is.
Gosh.
But I noticed that as you were going through that detailed evidence about handprints on rifles and whatnot, that you mysteriously did not mention LBJ's mistress. Why did you not
George?
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with this
LBJ,
if he did have one.
Listen to me. Stop focusing on the school book depository and guns and all that. LBJ had a mistress at the Petroleum Club, and she later told a neighbor that the John Birch Society was working with the Cubans to get the Chicago mob to take Kennedy out. And this is all in my book, Rush to 6 Seconds in Dallas, Why RFK Had the Motive and the Means.
Oh, my gosh, that's his brother.
Okay.
He was heartbroken over this whole thing.
I think, well, I'm not going to feel sorry for his brother when his brother was the one who ordered it. Okay,
that's ridiculous.
So why do you don't spend any time feeling sorry? You have to look at who stood to benefit from Kennedy being out of the way. That will right there. That alone will tell you all you need to know. Did you know? No, hold on. Let me finish, George. You asked me a question, then you don't let me talk. Do you know that after they showed the casket being unloaded from Air Force One in Washington, and then once again after they showed the casket riding in a horse-drawn carriage down the road in Washington for the funeral procession,
right.
that casket sales in the U.S. went up by 43% the next year. Where was Carl Fassbender, the president of the Funeral Association of North America, on the 22nd of November, 1962?
I don't know where.
He's involved?
This is all in my book, Eternal Comfort, Funeral of One, The Rush to Judgment at Dallas Police Headquarters.
Okay. How many books do you have?
I have written over 58 books about the assassination.
58?
Yes. Each and every one of them detailing the, right now at present count, the 287 organizations that killed Kennedy on November 22nd.
I'll say, it sounds like they all have different theories.
I know y'all are up against it.
Yeah. We are. We got to run.
But I can keep talking. So what you really need to focus on is Teddy Kennedy.
No.
And he was involved in an illegal cricket match in 1956 with a guy.
All right, we got to let him go. That's just ridiculous.
That's Chaz Wittledit. He claims to be an author and lecturer of the Kennedy assassination.
Yes, and I should give out our telephone number, 888-787-1310. If you would like to call and comment on anything that you heard on the show this week or on the ticket this week, we can certainly discuss it. Have some fantastic Friday fan feedback here from some P1s via email.
I think it'd be great if someone called up and gave you a very logical response as a conspiracy theorist. Maybe they have something you haven't thought of.
I would love to do like a more long-form show, maybe a Thursday night show or something on the ticket, or maybe a Discord chat or Twitch stream, or if Cat will let us do it on the ticket and waste time on a sports radio station talking about the assassination. Because it would be good to get a good, well-reasoned conspiracy person here to talk about evidence, and we could discuss it. Because I'm sure it gets boring just hearing lone gunman stuff all the time, and it's frustrating if you're a conspiracy theorist, listen to it, you want to yell at your radio the whole time. That'd be good. Larry says, so if you're a conspiracy guy, you can call up right now, 888-787-1310. Larry says, good conversation this morning in JFK Talk. It reminded me about my dad, and he gives his dad's name, who worked as a deputy sheriff at the time. My dad was assigned to the 6th floor of the school book depository after the shooting happened, and actually found the gun that was used to assassinate the president.
Wow.
found that gun.
Which, as you said, was brought up on the documentary, of just paraded around.
Yes, the way the Dallas police handled that gun afterwards made me so nervous, and it does not seem like the way that you should handle the potential murder weapon of the President of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, even the fact that guys aren't always wearing gloves handling it.
Yeah.
Including the guy with the bow tie who said it's a Mannlicher Carcana 1940.
That's just so troubling. And a lot of guys point to, this goes back to the conspiracy-minded person who says, hey, the gun was identified as a Mauser. And there was one officer who did identify it as a Mauser rifle, which is not what this rifle was. And conspiracy people will hold up that official memo that policeman wrote that day as evidence. See, here's even evidence that they found a different gun in the school book depository that day. Now, meanwhile, you hold up the 50 other memos that correctly identify the gun, and they'll say, where'd you get that? Oh, that's from Dallas Police. You can't trust that. Wait, you just held up the Dallas Police one, and that was part of your argument, that this is even a Dallas Police memo. You even said it counted for a whole lot when you said it.
Had said it was a
then when I
Mauser.
say it doesn't count for anything. Okay. Yeah, and one said it, and that's the thing, is that Mauser was basically kind of one of those name brands that becomes a generic term. So, like, for example, Craig, you just witnessed this when we were at lunch the other day, and I got to talk about the guy at the cafe. He was talking about 335s. It's a type of guitar. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I have an Ibanez 335 and love it, and we got to talking about 335s. Now, meanwhile, someone comes along. Gordon Keith claimed he had an Ibanez 335. But Ibanez has never actually made a model that says 335. Why is Gordon Keith lying? Well, because 335 is actually made by Gibson, but it's a type of guitar that was so popular that other people make that style of guitar. It refers to a style of guitar. It's like saying, I got a Les Paul. I've got an Aria Pro Les Paul. Well, they don't make one called Les Paul. It's based on a Les Paul.
And the other thing, for the people who were actually on Elm Street, several of them had a different account of where the shots came from.
Right.
They were there to watch a parade.
It was a G.I. Jane joke to them. They were there to watch a parade.
Right. But if you have an incident, like if someone came in here in a clown suit and shot a water pistol 5 or 6 times, and then we all had to give it a different account of, or our account of it, I think you'd have 3 different accounts of it.
Yeah, one of them says that he had, 2 people say that he had red hair, and the other one says now he had pink hair. So do we say that, well, we can't trust anybody's opinion because there was disagreement as to what color the hair was? Well, no, that doesn't mean you got to just throw everything out. It means you have to balance it. What does the evidence say on balance?
Right.
And if you have 13 people, let's say, who say that they heard shots from the grassy knoll, yes, listen to them. Listen to what they say. These 13 people say here. But then when you have 150 people that come and say, well, we heard 3 shots and they all came from the school book depository, you balance those things out. You listen to them and then you say, well, what does this suggest is the closest thing to the truth? Well, the preponderance of people said it came from this direction, the school book depository. Right. But it all has to do with how you crop the picture. And conspiracy guy wants to crop it, only the things that support the conspiracy theory is what he wants you to focus on. I had a guy say something to me on Twitter. He said, the problem, Gordon, is you rely on the Warren Commission for evidence. You believe you place way too much reliance on the Warren Commission. Well, Gordon, you can't trust the people who killed Kennedy and what they say in their Warren Commission report. So
now you got to put the conspiracy that high up to make sure that the Warrens...
His proof that the Warren Commission is false is because it was written by the people who killed Kennedy. So it's such circular logic, it makes my head spin, but it makes total sense to him.
Yeah.
That, hey, I can easily disprove the Warren Commission because they killed him.
Could they have done a better job of organizing that so it makes more sense? Is it confusing in some ways?
The Warren Commission made many errors. Okay, any project that's that big is going to have errors. Mm-hmm. But on balance, I think they did an excellent job for that scope of a project. With as much evidence as they did gather and had to plow through, it was rushed. They should have taken a little bit longer time with it. But I thought that they did a pretty good job.
But they had the pressure to get it out there because there was so much, speculation as to what happened.
And they'll even report. They even report when someone says something that's inconsistent. I mean, this is the other thing. The conspiracy people who go through all 26 volumes of the Warren Commission report, and they'll point out, hey, look, this witness said something that says X, which is in contradiction to the Warren Commission's conclusion. They use the Warren Commission for evidence to support their conspiracy theory, and then also will say, you can't believe a word that the Warren Commission says. It boggles. Anyway, go to the phones. We go to Prison Mike, who has info on conspiracies. Hi, Prison Mike.
Hey there. Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So, I don't decipher the news. I'm a messenger. Some things that the foil hat folks have to say is, everyone running away at the time of the shooting, right? Everyone's just leaving the scene, except the old woman with the camera. And they say that she's a Rothschild, so something to do maybe with the CIA. Who knows?
We're not going to get into Rothschild and all that kind of stuff. Some people talk about how, the grassy knoll, there were people that were running up the grassy knoll after the shots rang out.
They were running for cover, weren't they?
Well, that's my point, is that the conspiracy guy tells you they're running after to go catch the gunman. But can't you equally say, well, they would be running away from the shots too, wouldn't they? So,
yeah,
what a completely different interpretation of the same evidence.
Yeah, they showed that in the documentary. In fact, all the people scattering and running once the shots were fired, it was mayhem.
Yes.
So anybody running was probably running from, running for cover.
Right. And you were mentioning the shots, Giorgio, and people thinking that they came from different directions. Yes, you're in a thing that's enclosed on, 3 sides?
There's echo.
With things to echo off of. So, yeah, people are not going to agree on where the shots came from.
Yeah.
But I believe the people when they say that they heard shots from the direction of the stockade fence and the grassy knoll. And all I ask is that you also believe that the people are honest when they say that they heard the shots from the school book depository. And we'll average all that out and see which one seems most likely.
Right.
Let's go to Ben in Dallas. Hi, Ben.
Good morning. I have a question for Ja. Ja, who's going to pre-win your chip award during Sunday's game?
I can't predict that.
He can't predict it because he has nothing to do with it.
I have nothing to do with the award.
David from Justin.
Hey, David in Justin, or was in Justin. He's in me now. Anyway, I'm a long-haul truck driver. That was just a joke I've always wanted to try. I'm heading straight through Oklahoma to Idabel, Oklahoma, heading east. But I have a controversial, I'm streaming you guys, controversial opinion about Kennedy.
Okay.
And this documentary. You ready? I mean, no offense to the family in the front row. None whatsoever.
Okay. All right.
Fine.
All right.
No offense at all. But Jackie Kennedy looks like the doctor dropped her straight on her face when she pulled her out of Mrs. Onassis. She is not attractive. Her face is square.
Boy, that is a hot opinion.
Man,
I was watching that footage thinking, man, she's really attractive. She's so pretty.
Her eyes are too far apart. Her chin to brow ratio.
You
is
have
off.
something on the eyes thing, but overall, she still looks great.
She's beautiful, and you could tell that in the documentary, which is so sad. The before and after, you see her in Fort Worth and San Antonio.
Yeah, has a glow about her and everything, and then you show her
like she's a
standing
ghost.
at the funeral.
Poor
And
thing.
just
golly.
Lewis from Grand Prairie, you're on the ticket.
Boys, I just want to say I appreciate what you boys have done to your bodies. Gordo, why are you so against the smoking gun theory? Both can be true. LHO went to and actually shot at the president, and the smoking gun theory, right, is the Secret Service accidentally shot the president.
From where?
From the car back behind him.
From the trailing car. Yeah, from the trailing car. 1 in a million shots, I'll give it to you, but it certainly makes sense. And so my question to you is, what's your response to the Abbott hunters at ground level smelling the gunpowder? If we know that the wind was blowing at a northeasterly direction, right? So if LHO is shooting, it's blown back in his face and around the building. People on the ground.
I'll have
levels,
to. Yeah, I'll have to look at and study what you're talking about. And I haven't heard this wind pattern and this and so on. I do think that and this has gained a lot of traction in the past year or two, it seems like. A lot of people going with that the Secret Service accidentally killed JFK.
How?
Okay, now, this may be one of those times, again, where the world understands something that I don't. I want to make that very clear. But to me, the fact that it seems like an upping of the heroin thing on the conspiracy to me. When I first heard this idea that who really killed Kennedy was the Secret Service guy back behind the car, I thought, okay, so the Secret Service is in on it. And they said, no. It was an accident. He didn't intend to kill Kennedy. It was just that someone had fired, like Oswald fired, and there was a bullet that ricocheted off the limousine and hit like the curb, and then the car behind Kennedy hit its brakes quickly, and the Secret Service guy that was holding his gun, lurched forward when the car lurched, and his gun went off and blew Kennedy's head off. When someone first told me that, I laughed and goes, "Oh, that's funny that it's a Rube Goldberg. You have so many things happening and everything funny." And they were looking at me dead serious, and I was, I'm sorry.
It happened.
I'm terribly sorry.
It's the way it went down.
I did not take your theory with the spirit it was intended, and I'm sorry about that.
Is there also one that the shot came from inside Kennedy's car because that's why Jackie was trying to get out?
Yeah. And my buddy Jeff tells me about the time he was talking to a conspiracy guy. And I swear to God, his theory was that Kennedy stood up in the limousine and killed himself.
That's the dumbest one I've ever heard.
The pressure of the job had gotten to him, and he knew that Jackie was about to find out he was having affairs and stuff. And so he stood up and held a pistol to his head and did this in front of everyone. And the guy believed it.
Okay, we can throw that one out.
But you see how, once again, the theories just aren't quite wild enough, and we keep making them wilder and wilder. But the Secret Service one has gotten a lot of traction lately, in that he fired the fatal shot that blew Kennedy's head off.
Wow.
People go with it. Okay, let's... we're done, right?
The end.
The end.
Okay, thank you.
Get the Musers podcast at patreon.com/sportsgreek.
Right, the government just knows how tall you are, the color of your eyes, and where your address is. So if you change the color of your eyes, you're invisible.
So your facial recognition would be off because
they couldn't match you up.
Well, you'd probably have to get, you can get some patterns that you can wear that help to thwart that.
Like patterns?
Like plaid or?
No, I forget what.
Why have you done so much research into this?
I don't know.
He's right, though. There is clothing that is designed to fool cameras, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It yes.
Cameras, okay, but
the facial.
I'll just say
technology.
That's Gordon running down the street.
You
in plaid.
would, but you know what he looks like because you see him every day.
Well, if it's Gordon's car that gets stopped, and then they have a picture of him. I think the one thing he'd have to do is shave his head and shave his beard. He'd look totally different. I get that.
Correct. And
I think I've changed the way I've done things in the past 5 years. I don't think you're recognizing that.
I'm not recognizing that,
You've got to re-record that.
Well, do it now. Hang on.
Let me hear it again and get the actual quote.
I think I've changed the way I've done things in the past 5 years. I don't think you're recognizing that.
I think I've changed the way I've done things in the past 5 years, and I don't think you're recognizing that. Did I do it high-pitched enough?
Got it clean. No, it's great.
Got it clean. Very nice.
So we can exchange that. That's good.
I think I've changed the way I've done things in the past 5 years, and you're not recognizing that.
Okay, just an alternate. Yeah. You know what?
A few choices.
Give us one more because we'll have three to choose from.
Hey, look! I think that I've changed the way I've done things in the past 5 years, and none of you are recognizing that!
What the hell is going on?
That was very nice.
A little bit more desperate one.
Yeah, pure.
That's
the voice
on the lamb.
A crowd of people.
Yeah, that's on the lamb. Eye contacts, colored eye contacts with no beard. Gordon, right there.
There you go.
That's what that is.
Yeah,
we won't even recognize him. Yeah.
You wouldn't. I'm telling you.
That would trip me out if I saw that. I may have to slow down and just kind of
watch
see
traffic, man,
or just see where he's going because
right. No, he was headed for the trees. 100%. He was headed for the trees.
That's awesome.
I also saw a hit and run this morning,
dude. What is wrong with you?
With the body?
I don't know. No, it was two cars. I didn't see the hit, but I saw the run. So like I saw a car, like a truck, with somebody waving at another vehicle, like as they drive off. The truck slows down, pulls over, and I finally get like a real look at the bumper of the waving car hanging off, and they're going like 10 miles an hour.
Oh no!
No, they clearly hit that vehicle.
And did you get a license plate? Are you going to snitch?
No, man. I was like real close to work, so I got off on my exit and came here.
You can't even help your fellow human.
No, I
your
dimed
fellow man.
No, I dimed on my neighbor that was running from the cops like 3 months ago.
What?
I have a very eventful.
Okay, well,
life.
what's this all about?
I was at home. This was when I was working from home, and I got a knock on the door, a very aggressive knock on the door, and we have the Ring doorbell, and there was a police officer and a couple of other police officers out in front, and they were like, can we check your backyard? Your neighbor is up to some stuff. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. Sure, go ahead. Check the backyard as I go and lock all my doors and hide all my illegal things in my house.
Wait, they weren't specific as to what your neighbor was up to?
No, they didn't want to give me too much information. They just let me know that there was a situation afoot.
I think that I would have said no then.
To go into your backyard?
I would say if cops show up at my front door and say, hey, look, we just want to check your backyard. Well, why? It's like neighbors just doing. Can we get in the backyard?
No.
Well, no. Tell me about what do you mean my neighbor is doing what? Just some stuff. Just let us back there.
What if
I'd be like, well, I don't. You're not giving me enough information here.
Do you have a warrant?
What if you really don't like your neighbor?
And you want him to get caught?
Then check their backyard.
Yeah.
Why are you in mine? He's not back there. I don't like him
either. Why don't you go check his house first?
Well, I think they did, and that led their investigation
like the
to
guy
my
that lives
yard.
right next to you.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well, he used to.
Right. Now he's in prison.
Yeah, they don't live there anymore.
That's happened to me. That happened.
It was not
anyway,
a cool move.
You said yes, and they walked through your house to get to the backyard?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I was like, you can go through the gate outside, and they did.
And the guy's like, well,
it.
can I just come in your living room?
And so what'd they do in your backyard?
They just looked around. Walked out. It took like 5 minutes. He wasn't back there.
And they gave you no explanation.
Okay, they staked out my house for like 3 hours.
It's a weird bit, man.
It was not the best move on my part.
That's happened to me before, where they had a guy in the area had ran from police and was in the neighborhood, and they believed he was hiding like in somebody's yard or whatever. So the cops were going door to door. The SWAT team, they shut off the neighborhood and all this. They had it was nuts. And they come to your door and ask, hey, have you seen anything? And he was armed, the guy that they couldn't find. And so that night, 2 helicopters were flying over our neighborhood with the big spotlights trying to find them. And I was like, man.
Yeah, in that case, you say, yeah. You can
I was like, yeah.
There's a reason I can understand.
Yeah, and they were telling us, they go, hey, don't go outside, stay inside. If you hear anything, see anything, immediately.
But I need to go to the store.
I was like,
I have to fix dinner.
I was like, what is he going to do? She was freaking out. She said, well, what if he's in our house? Like, he's not in our house.
Did you have to go kind of like around the corner?
No, I had to. She was like, well, go check the closets and stuff. Okay. What's he going to do?
Yeah, what if he popped out of one of the closets?
I was like, one, even if he isn't here, he doesn't want hostages. He's probably just trying to escape to rendezvous with somebody to get out of here.
Yes. Honey, let's just let him escape. He's not interested in hanging around talking to us.
Right.
He's kind of Shawshanking your wall, putting a spoon, trying to tunnel out of that bad boy.
That was weird, though.
500 yards.
Because we went to sleep that night and they hadn't caught him yet.
Is Shawshank that good a movie?
Yes.
What?
I don't know. 888-787-1310.
That's the worst comeback. I don't know.
Sports. It's got everything you need in it.
Do guys overrate Shawshank?
No, you can't.
I don't think so. I think it's a damn fine flick.
Well written, acted nicely.
Then you had
it's got friendship and love. There's sex.
Bud Dwyer type of moment. Like, I thought that's right up your alley.
That of every movie.
You just kind of flip through and see if someone's going to do that to themselves. That's how you want to go check it out.
Its Bud Dwyer score as to how many people do that.
Hey, why don't you start that website, like that app?
No.
So they do have like where you can go and pee and you won't miss too much.
Man, this is a good movie. It's got 3 Bud Dwyer trophies under its name.
3 guns up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you can rate them.
So disturbing.
Wow. What a visual right there. Okay.
Welcome to Week 13 of the E-Brake Fantasy League. Guess which two bros got points this week and who didn't? Listening to the E-Brake each week is like kid cancer all over again for me. But anyways, here's how it shook out. Junior took a quick break during the segment and went full robot.
You know what a lot lizard is? There's probably a lot of listeners who don't.
Prostitute.
What? That was very robot Craig.
The Junesman Milner is a part of Team Mino. Speaking of, Sean B. showed why he and Matt Duchesne go together like peanut butter and spaghetti.
Tied things up against Arizona last night. That was mighty fine, my friend.
I appreciate it.
So it's your first year here in Dallas.
Sean is also a part of Team Mino, and the big winner today is Davey Lane, who fought through hellacious hemorrhoids to say this in a funny way.
Which, dating back to Shakespeare.
Right.
Shakespeare.
Davey is proving to be an MVP for Sean, bolstering his lead. 13 weeks into Season 2, Sean devil horns up for Wilco Bass, leads the way with 22 points. David Wienermobile Groupie Mino has 20, and I, Justin, you don't deserve a funny nickname, just a kick to the balls, Monty, still has 9 effing points.
Of the NIT-brake, Justin Montemayor.
I know him.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sean Bass. Great week.
Thanks.
I thought the Duchesne show on the ticket was awesome.
It really was.
Yeah.
It went without hitch.
The ticket guys really nailed it.
Let's have him on again sometime.
Well-oiled machine we are.
All right, so this week we have 5 candidates here on the NIT-brake, but one of them is a two-parter, so we'll still have 6 overall cuts. Candidate number 1 here on the NIT-brake is one Matt McLaren. Now, this was on Wednesday during the 12:30 news at 11:30, or the 11:30 news at 12:30, I should say.
All right.
Matt, and I think we've all done this before. You get caught up in a story and you may be researching something and you may not realize the rest of the show has moved on. Matt kind of got stuck on the old story.
During the
Happens to all of
Netflix
us.
Cup, some protesters ran out onto the first tee protesting the Iditarod and F1's cut or ties to the Iditarod.
Okay.
And the funniest part about this is that comedian Bert Kreischer was one of the people to tackle the protesters and lead them off
That is
the
so
course.
random.
While Lando Norris, not our Lando, different Lando, Carlos Sainz, Justin Thomas, and Ricky Fowler were on the tee box, ready to just play some celebrity golf.
Did you see
No
Justin
way.
Thomas and his guy won, and they dropped the cup and it shattered?
The Netflix Cup?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Well, I guess that's why they call it Sin City.
And that's the news.
Yeah, I can't quite put that together.
How about that drive in?
So you shatter a cup. Why do you call it Sin City?
Because half-price brothels?
That was the last story.
Yeah,
We're on
that-
to a different one.
We've moved way on.
Sorry, I was Googling closest brothels to Vegas.
I bet you were. I bet you were.
All right, thank you for the F1 news.
You're welcome.
What about the M1 and K1?
That's tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
K2?
You know, y'all, you got the Super Bowl coming up in Vegas.
kept
You do wanna
digging
go
his
ahead-
hole.
Yeah.
Golly.
Get ready for that thing. You know, the Bunny Ranch, not that close to Vegas.
How far?
Find that out. It's like more than 4 hours away.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a long way to go for Air Force Amy.
Yep.
Well, we got time to kill out there.
Especially these days.
Yeah, I want to go out there and do the Lamar tour. Maybe OD a little bit.
Have Big
Just
Dick Hunter revive you.
Big Dick Hunter.
I never have that.
Maybe have a little bit of that.
Never been accused of that,
I mean,
buddy.
if you're in the car for 4 hours. Is that off Mike Sean laugh?
That is off Mike, yeah. Laughing at his own slip up there.
I think that's after I fell, yeah.
That was definitely after
And I was sitting on the floor when Sean was laughing.
I
like
fell
that.
down.
Your hands are just hitting
That's
the
the
table.
laugh.
Looking like an infant, just
That's
help
the
me.
laugh the ladies make if I tell them I have what you said. It's bigger. All right, candidate number 2 here on the NIT-brake from the same show is one Travis Meat Mejia.
What do they call him? Meat?
I don't remember. Why did
I don't
they
know.
call me?
We just call him that on Sundays at some point.
Travis, excuse me, is having a hard time differentiating Washington State and D.C.
They played in Milwaukee Saturday and then back
night.
home for Sacramento on Sunday.
Yeah. I feel like that's the distance. I wonder what's the official distance for the NBA to say.
I bet they think of it more of time zones than maybe distance.
Well, New Orleans to Washington is changing time zones.
But I'm saying like they don't want to go 2 time zones away. But if you're central time zone, they may not care as much.
So they probably would never go Dallas and then go play a game in like L.A. since that's 2 time zones.
Right.
But they'll go play in Denver back-to-back since it's just 1.
Wait, Washington is 2 time zones from New Orleans.
That's just 1.
No, New Orleans is central and Washington's eastern. So.
I was in the West. My bad.
What?
Forget about me.
D.C.
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
For some reason I was on the East.
You know, it's interesting.
That's not a basketball team.
I think in our heads,
Washington
right?
West,
No,
yeah.
I was still in like 2007.
Like Travis thought the flight time was like 5 hours.
I don't know that 2007 he was right
The Sonics. The Sonics?
Oh, okay, you're talking about
In
the
07?
Sonics, okay.
It is a bad bit. There shouldn't be a state named Washington and also a Washington, D.C. We need to rename one of the 2 of those. It's very confusing.
Is it?
It is.
I don't know if I've ever had a real tough time with this.
Well,
I mean,
there's a
initially-
Washington on the West Coast and the East Coast.
By the way,
When I was 6, you're right, I did have a hard time.
I'm noticing Travis is an entry every week in the NIT.
Meaning what?
He's
just saying
he's on my team.
I
Do you
mean,
think he?
He's going to break through one of these days for me.
You late drafted him after Ty left, so that was a pretty smart pick.
He was a waiver wire pickup
Yeah,
for
that
me.
was a nice UDFA.
Yep.
You think he came out with a lot of confidence when he started this clip?
Wait, Washington is.
Wait.
Wait, Washington is 2 time zones.
It's very music.
All right, that's Travis. Candidate number 3 here on the NIT break. We have one DJ Ringelberger, who during the Snake Pit was supposed to play some audio for Corby, but I guess he doesn't check his company email.
Of course, God Bless the USA gets released, and it changes everything. Now, let's go back to when he wrote God Bless the USA. Again, part of an album, not part of Rah Rah Go America. It was filling out an album. That's it. And here's how he wrote it. I sent you the cut, DJ?
What cut? Oh, boy.
It was 4 minutes long. It was the first thing I sent it to you and Ham, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's what that was that we just played, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. But yeah. But anyway, I'll tell you how it went down. Sorry.
It doesn't help
Man.
that DJ's on the little producer mic, so he's talking like this, and he can't really make it.
I love he's just trying to. Okay, fine. We'll just.
I love his
on.
response. The 4-minute clip that's going to take up the whole segment. That one. What audio?
Oh, DJ.
I sent you the cut, DJ?
What cut?
What
cut?
That's going to help.
Yikes.
All right, that's DJ. Candidate number 4 here is George Dunham. Now, this is a 2-parter. We'll have to play the setup and then the payoff. So this is a not listening. We've all done it. In the Ranch Report last Friday with David Moore brings up that Matt Barkley is a part of the Giants quarterback room. And so we'll hear him mention him here.
The Giants are really compromised to the point where that's the only way you would think they could win a game, especially on the road, especially with Tommy DeVito at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us about him. I just saw him running around last week. I don't know much about him outside of what I saw last week.
Well, the only Tommy DeVito I really know, which dates me, I guess, was the founder of the Four Seasons.
Wow. And, okay. The landscape place or
yeah.
the hotel?
The Giuliani landscape place in Philly. No, I think this is like early Jersey Boys music. But, I mean, a little surprised because Barkley's been around for a while and has an understanding of the system with Daboll, right? So
there's a mention of Matt Barkley.
Right.
We fast forward about 90 seconds when George jumps back in and he brings up this guy named Matt Barkley.
I know a lot of people bemoan what they've seen from the Cowboys offense, but you think they struggle here. Watch the Giants on a weekly basis, as George just gave with all the scores. I mean, they've got nothing. They barely have a pulse.
Yeah.
And their offensive concept just is so bad. I think it's demoralized the defense, which had been pretty good.
Yeah. Did you guys see who DeVito's backup is? Matt Barkley.
It's Barkley, right?
Yeah, that's what David just said.
Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry. I was looking at his numbers. I didn't hear him say that. As I just said.
Yes, as I just said.
Oh, man. That was a really bad
Thank you,
one.
Brad.
Oh, sorry about that. But, yeah.
I'm listening, David.
I'm sorry. I was, too.
I know. You also defended journalism earlier, Craig, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Craig and David were probably thinking, oh, gosh, who is it? I don't have this. Is it Johnny Manziel or something?
They bring Eli back? But no, then you get the Brad Sham dunk on your head of, as I just said. God, that one will rip your heart out. All right, our last candidate here on the NIT break. I think we're going to put this on OPEX. I don't know who else we can really put this on, but we had a major malfunction at Tin Hut in the mornings.
Northbound 75 at SMU Boulevard. Watch for a stalled car in the left lane. I'm Becca with the ticket. Stick it up your tailpipe traffic.
This report is brought to you by After Hours Dentist.
Hello? I'll just talk about that.
To go to the dentist, check out AfterHoursDentistry.com. They're open late for all your dental needs. After Hours Dentistry. Better hours, better people, better dentistry. AfterHoursDentistry.com.
Doo-doo.
I'll just talk. What was that? How about this information? Join the Hardline Thursday at Rowley House, Preston Forest.
What
the hell happened?
Okay.
How did that not make it?
I mean,
I've seen some things in there.
That thing will stop working.
And it was sped up afterwards?
Yeah, and echoed.
How?
I don't know. Tyler was trying to explain it to me and my head just melted.
Never in my life have I witnessed that.
Incredible.
And you know what? It'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll
can't recreate it.
never happen again.
Part.
Yeah.
So like I said,
probably
I don't
happen
even
next
know who
week.
put
That bug's
on.
already been
I think
fixed.
that's OPEX.
It's OPEX.
Yeah.
It's its own beast. All right. Here's your 5 candidates: Matt McLaren, Travis, DJ, George, and OPEX. I think I'll start voting this week and say OPEX. Let's go to Sean.
Give me DJ.
All right. Mino?
I would also like to vote for Operation X.
Okay, Lando.
That's the full name of OPEX, if you didn't know.
Let's go ahead and make this a victory for OPEX.
OPEX. Ham?
X is up.
You don't matter. Congrats to OPEX.
X
That
up.
is the first win for OPEX. It's one behind George and Ham.
Way to go, Justin. That's the first win, but it will not be the last win for
Probably
OPEX.
not.
I can guarantee you that. All right, it's 250. Why Today Doesn't Suck is next.
Once again, The Ticket presents Why Today Doesn't Suck.
Sucking on chili dog. Sucking on a dog. Sucking on a chili dog. Sucking on chili. Sucking on a dog. Sucking on a chili dog. Sucking on chili dog.
And now, here are your hosts, Sean Bass and David Mino.
Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. The sweet spot. No guest to thank today, so I'll say a special thanks to you, the P1, for spending your Fridays with us. And at 3 o'clock, here is Ham.
Thank you, Mino. Eatsy's Market and Bakery and Sante Center for Healing brings you Monto.
Thank you so much, Ham. I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you.
It's got a hat that
It
says-
tells me I'm a board op.
Funny hat.
It's board op on it.
It's funny. It's a big hat.
Anyway, we got the sweet spot right there, a.k.a. the ticket.
Present.
But we don't have the other ticket, the hard line, so they are over there. Bob, Dave, and
Echo.
Corb.
And Echo. Echo Monto.
Hello. Today, I consider myself
luckiest man. How we doing?
I have AIDS.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Bob. Hey, now.
It's me.
You scared those girls at the bar, Bob.
I did?
Again?
Hey, girls.
Ladies.
Donde están ustedes?
We are at Co Wetzel's Riot Room in Fort Worth down by West 7th.
Right.
A riot could break out at any time.
We're not
You're in
promoting rioting.
the best room for it.
Yeah, they are. But it is a room that will be inclusive for a riot.
Sure.
Yeah.
You got
But I'll
some
kick your
gear?
ass. I promise if you show up here, I'll kick your ass. How about that?
In karate.
That's my gift for you with karate.
It's a hell of an 817 Friday you're offering.
Yeah.
I'm going to send Sister Jean out there. Let you kick her ass.
No.
Just
Everything's cool.
strike out Javi Baez again.
Yeah. Knocking him out with a 1-2 sweeper. Well, today is Friday, November 17th, the 321st day of 2023. There are 44 days left in the year. On this date in 1956, Syracuse beats Colgate 61-7 behind halfback Jim Brown. Jim Brown had the NCAA record for points by an individual player in a single game by scoring 6 touchdowns and kicking 7 extra points.
6.
But
Man.
that could be possible now, right, with the Texans guy? That
Yeah.
guy's name?
Jim Thorpe could have done that.
The WNBA player's brother.
What do you got
Yeah.
for
George?
famous athletes from Colgate? Go.
Oh, man. What was that one basketball player's name?
Crestman?
I got one basketball and one football.
Okay, I'm going to really...
Johnny
I'm really mad at
Aquafresh.
myself over the Colgate basketball
you're
player.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Give me the initials
Davis
of Colgate basketball. Shut up, line 4
toothpaste.
guy.
I think.
Now you got it? Okay.
Now I'm
I think Adano.
Don't worry, it won't make an
And we
emergency
dumped it, too.
break.
We caught it in
won't
time.
make an e-brake or an NIT-brake.
Now the football one,
anything like that.
far more significant, and
How many
honestly,
shows are going on right now?
kind of embarrassing that you don't know it.
Who is it?
Mark Van Egan,
Wow, that hurts.
Raiders.
Duh.
Love
Friend of
Mark
Kenny
Van
Stabler.
Idiot.
Love Mark
Bork.
Van Egan.
Bork.
Number
Anyway.
30.
Old
My
Bork.
son's godfather you're talking about.
Mark Van Egan.
Bork.
On this date, 1968, the Oakland Raiders scored 2 touchdowns in 9 seconds to beat the New York Jets, but no one sees it because they had to watch Heidi instead. This is the Heidi game.
That was the intro to Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
Or Sunday, one of the 2 games.
One of the Jets' primetime games. Or
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah,
it was
that's
on
it.
Sunday night.
Thanks, G.
No bait.
Yeah, we got time. Y'all can say your whole words. You got about 10 minutes.
The Heidi game.
We're good, Jay.
All right,
And
D.
you know what's funny about the
What
Heidi
name?
game? That was back when people would literally call switchboards.
It's all you,
See,
Mark.
that's not too long ago.
We still have people calling
All right,
for
lie.
Mont.
somebody grounding their club in a bunker.
Yeah. Although, didn't the PGA say we've stopped now taking phone calls?
If you called Channel 11 switchboard to tell them that somebody grounded their club in a bunker, what would they say back to you?
What's a switchboard,
Yeah.
bro?
I'm sorry,
And
what?
it appears they lanced the golf announcer with a pitchfork.
Get the JoJo Channel 11 answering the phone. Depending on what date it is. There's one day in January. She may not be there. Oh, yeah. On this date in 1973,
What does that mean?
Jeez.
U.S. President Richard Nixon holds a press conference in which he declared, I am not a crook.
I am
What?
childish term, crook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really prove or disprove that. What is a crook?
Or we said, I'm not
Yeah,
a robber.
I think of the
Lying
sticky
for-
bandits as crooks.
Lying son of a bitch. Check on that.
Let's see. In 1979, there's only one reason we're doing this.
Bitch.
Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini ordered the release of 13 black and or female American hostages being held at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran.
First off, it's
Totally,
Khomeini.
bro.
It's Khomeini,
No, it's Tolly.
Totally.
It's the Ayatollah of rock and roll.
Tolly Rodriguez.
Right.
And that's where that came from, too.
Went to
The
prom with his
Ayatollah
sister.
of rock and roller.
In 2003, Arnold Schwarzenegger sworn in as the 38th governor of California.
As someone who just watched the documentary on Arnold, the 3-part Netflix documentary, I can confirm this is true.
Pumping Iron? Or is this a newer one?
No. Although that was covered extensively in the doc. You should see it. It's good.
They talk about.
Oh, this is called.
Oh, yeah.
His son,
What
the housekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
Pumping the housekeeper.
He admits it. He's
Oh,
into
yeah.
it. All of it.
Oh, yeah.
They show the kid.
He governated her.
Oh, yeah. Basically, it ruined his whole life. And
I'll be
still,
back.
as he says, he's like, I live with it every day.
Did they show the full...
I'll be on your back.
I
The full cheese
governate
fries?
and I inseminate.
Whoa.
And now, you know, he's
Gary, that's
so-
disgusting.
He's so into donkeys. Not
Yeah.
like
Sexually?
Like shows?
That. No.
Excuse me?
He just... But it makes me want to have a pet donkey. Like, donkey just comes in and eats with him, and they hang out and watch TV.
Eats with him?
Did you see the
On the Manning cast.
Like they get a fajitas for two?
No.
Do they put on a show?
Again, no.
Colin Farrell's character, his best friend, besides his best friend that disowned him, his best friend was his donkey.
Yeah. Donkeys are cool.
Oh, yeah.
No one brought them up yesterday when we talked about which kind of exotic animal we wanted as a pet.
A donkey?
Yeah, I don't think donkey
Cut off
came
his
up.
fingers and threw them at him.
See how much for a donkey.
Not exotic, though.
Yeah. We can get you a donkey by nightfall.
If it's sitting in your dining room eating lasagna with you, that's a little exotic.
A toe? We'll get you a toe.
In 2004, New Orleans tied an NBA low by taking 2 free throws in a 95-84 loss to Phoenix.
We can get you a donkey for about $1,000.
Oh, that's nothing. And in 2015, actor Charlie Sheen confirms that he is in fact HIV positive.
No way.
I guess it just doesn't matter anymore. Magic proved that.
Who's got AIDS?
Yeah, you just take the cocktail and I think you're fine.
Yeah, you take the drugs, it makes it undetectable.
The cure is just a lot of blood. Yeah, the one
What do
filled
you
with
call it?
all the
Drink
cash.
dragon
Tiger blood.
or something. Yeah, tiger blood. Some kind of.
When you went to see him, Corby, did you have like a little poncho like they wear at fights, just in case?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're seeing Gallagher.
Right.
Oh, no.
There's no reason it
AIDS.
should get on me, but just in case, I'll go ahead and throw one on.
Would you go to a
Mental
show
dam.
where they smashed watermelons filled with AIDS?
Like Magic is backstage with the watermelon.
Yeah, he's just dehydrated because he's
You
just
don't have
pumping
to-
all his blood.
Whoa.
You don't have to make the motion.
You're on the radio. You don't have to make motions.
I don't have to hold an imaginary watermelon in front of my crotch.
In your lap.
We didn't have to show you cutting the hole out of it either.
Right. It's very particular.
A little hole,
I
Dave.
didn't see it, but I can see it.
All right, P1
He
birthdays
was really
today.
selling it too.
Reminder, send birthdays to montywtds@gmail.com. My son Noah Sutton is 31 years old today. I do not know if he was woken up in that special way, nor do I wish to. Miney and Monto are our leaders, but Paul Blart is the real hero.
He is.
And this is not a Carissa
Paul in,
birthday I wrote myself here. Just FYI.
All right.
What about Tolly?
In
real,
lieu of a
Monty.
drop request, the request is for Wings for P to be run in its entirety sometime soon. I don't know if that was like a play that we can just
Yeah, I don't
run, but should that seem too weird of a request coming from me, let's go with a Normandy invasion open montage.
Could we get the original cast of Wings for P?
At
to
Ticket
reunite?
Stock.
Yeah.
The original cast. Like it's
Like it's
Like the
Broadway.
Friends
JJT and
yeah.
Wings.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tweet. How do you?
Yeah, we can still.
Well, it was turned into like Rent.
Yeah.
Well, we could get the River
like
Sean
the Gwyneth Paltrow
players to do it, right?
skiing musical.
Yeah.
We might be able to get
Wings, the
traveling-
musical.
the traveling cast, but I don't know if you're going to get the original Broadway.
An opening
cast.
number of Get Your Ass Home.
Also, I'd like to wish
Get
my
your
P1
ass home.
cousin
Get your
Travis
ass home.
Crowell a happy 39th birthday. His leaders are the Musers, Dave's Grape Cluster, and Ted Ganji. Drop request, what's in Norm's underwear? Thanks from Ben.
We love Ben.
Did you ever think that your
Hey, line 4
hemorrhoids
guy.
would be involved in a sentence with Ted
Yes,
Ganji?
Norm.
No.
Guess
The
what
Ted
I
Ganji.
have in my underwear?
I don't know. What?
I have a nuclear weapon, and I will kill everyone here.
Does
I
it
wasn't
hurt your
as
underwear,
romantic
Doug?
as they normally are.
By the way, Norm.
Shove it in my face. Shove it in my face.
Norm with some sweet fill-in shows coming up in December.
Heck yeah.
Whoa.
He's got a week of Sweet Spot ahead of him.
That's right.
Yep.
And when he fills in, he fills
Who's he
in.
with?
Himself.
Norm.
Solo?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
solo
right now.
Norm.
It's dry and crusty, Doc.
All right. Birthdays today. Big fan of the MCU, Martin Scorsese, 81.
You know, you get on Monty for those jokes, and you just keep doing it yourself.
Yeah, you yell at me.
He learns from you.
Danny DeVito, the great Danny DeVito, 79.
Oh, great NFL quarterback.
Penguin.
He's really got some great start to his career.
Dirty jokes.
Man, what a career from Danny DeVito. And Twins, speaking of Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the finer buddy comedy movies of all time.
But I really think his Always Sunny, that really, the Frank character put it over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank is...
With his toe knife.
Frank made the show.
Rum ham.
There's no doubt. That show was not complete.
Wine in
without
the can.
Danny
But it
DeVito.
also completed his legacy.
I
Eating
don't know
cat
how
food
they
with
got
Charlie.
him to do that. How he agreed
Playing
to
night
do that. 'Cause
crawlers.
I don't think it was that big a deal whenever... Like,
Yeah, what was
season
it? Season 2 or 3?
Yeah.
It was early.
Lorne Michaels, the czar of SNL, 79. Jethro Tull's personal guitarist, Martin Barry?
Martin Barr
Barry?
is the guy from Silicon Valley, the devil worship guy.
That's Martin Starr.
Oh.
He's right. You are an idiot. Man.
What's his name? Guilfoyle?
Does Martin know
Aqua-
Jethro Tull personally? Like, are they good friends? What?
He's in Jethro Tull.
What?
Oh, it's not a guy?
Band or a person, Monto?
Let's see. The great Stephen Root is 72.
Milton.
Stapler.
Great.
Yeah.
Been in everything.
Dodgeball
No
is
doubt.
his best movie of all time.
Hell for Love.
News radio.
News radio. News radio.
Office Space is pretty,
Got a fake
Yeah.
turd in
pretty
his
hard to
pocket.
beat.
Get Out.
He's also Bill in King of the Hill, right?
He is. We'll probably hear that again.
I'm sure we will.
With a crunch at the end.
Jonathan Moffat, 69. That's Michael Jackson's drummer. RuPaul, 63.
And gorgeous.
Rachel McAdams, 45.
Love her, dude.
She's gorgeous. Whoa.
This is for Davey, if we're on good terms. Isaac Hansen of Hansen is 43.
that?
He's the oldest
That's
one.
the older
Yeah, you
one,
don't
yeah.
like
That's not the
Oh,
one that
yeah,
you were
no.
like, man, can't wait to plow through
He's
that.
the last of the three that I would.
What about
Yeah.
Cooper Hansen?
Yeah, but you hook up with Isaac, and then that'll get you closer to the other more androgynous looking.
It was
see
Isaac,
that-
Taylor, and Zach.
I
was
rank
the
them,
girl-looking one.
I rank them middle one, youngest one, then oldest one.
To see that unfold live in my own apartment was one of the more magical moments of my life. Hey, bro.
He takes the
that
beer
keyboard
helmet
player's
tube
hot.
out of his
Look
mouth.
Look at that one. It's gorgeous. Dave, that's a 13-year-old boy.
Pulling the hair out of his eyes. Whoa, man. Justin Cooper.
I stand by it.
I want to umbop her.
The kid
No, I
from
think-
Liar Liar.
I honestly
35.
think your reaction was, 5. Really? Oh, well.
All right, Mino, Derek Frazier or Paloma Aguilar?
Can I have some more cheese
Oh,
fries?
Yeah.
Paloma was. She got
didn't have a
booted
lot
from the
going.
show.
Sorry.
Week 1.
Also, Reggie
Self-evicted.
Wayne, Ryan Braun, the Hebrew Hammer, 40. Mika Fitzpatrick, 27. Born on the State Now Dead, we have Tom Seaver, Rock Hudson, and Gordon
Corby.
Lightfoot.
And the great Rock Hudson.
Shut it down! Let's go!
Oh, yeah.
Chest-
Oh, yeah.
Bye,
Broadcasting
Justin.
live from
Bye,
the
David.
TXU
Bye,
Energy
Al.
Mothership
Bye,
at
Four.
Victory Park, hard by the AAC.
Thank you. Thank you
Hi,
so much,
Dave.
Fort Worth, West 7th. What up? This is a sad story to begin E-News. We'll lighten it up, but this is sad. As late yesterday, the news broke from Dana Carvey himself, former Saturday Night Live star, that his oldest son, Dex Carvey, had died at the age of 32 from an accidental drug overdose.
Yeah, and it sounds weird. It doesn't sound too accidental, or I don't know what story you read, but I read that the guy locked himself in the bathroom. That doesn't sound accidental.
Well, I mean, maybe he was just trying to hide what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yes, he was found unresponsive in a locked bathroom at his home in Los Angeles by first responders after they got a call from his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not exactly sure of the circumstances, but in the statement that Dana Carvey published yesterday, he said, Dex packed a lot into those 32 years. He was extremely talented at so many things. It's not an exaggeration to say Dex loved life. When you were with him, you loved life too. He made everything fun. He was a beautiful person. His handmade birthday cards are a treasure. We'll miss him forever. To anyone struggling with addiction or who loves someone struggling with addiction, you are in our hearts and prayers. So, nice thought there at the end, because it is a universal issue, especially now with accidental overdoses becoming so common because people don't know what they're taking because who knows if fentanyl's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had anything to do with this case. Maybe we'll find out. One bit of Dex Carvey's legacy that is interesting is that Fred Armisen says that he is the inspiration for the Californian sketch.
Dex is?
Yes. Well, it was, I guess, Dex through Dana that they were talking one time and Dana was doing an impression of his son Dex and trying to do a California accent, and that was the inspiration for the Californians.
Okay.
So, yeah.
He contributed.
He contributed, yes.
Was something going on with the tabloids? That I saw Dana Carvey kind of lash out a little bit last night, and I imagine he was incredibly distraught, but I was curious that the media was not behaving in light of this death.
I didn't see any of that. But,
okay,
but
well,
yeah,
maybe
it's the Corby Davidsons of the world that are speculating that maybe he intentionally took his own life
because he was locked in a bathroom doing illegal drugs.
I don't want to put this on Corby, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah, he was lashing out at me.
So this
Corby Davidson, the ticket.
This also came out yesterday. We didn't have time because we were doing the Enews rent revival version yesterday, and so didn't really have time to get to this. But NBC News got their hands on some exclusive footage, never before seen footage of Alec Baldwin on the set of Rust. Now, it's not of the actual accident, but it's scenes that are similar to the accident as he's shooting the prop gun. And so I'll play a little bit of it. It's kind of chilling because Helena Hutchins is seen and heard in this footage.
That's the director that
the cinematographer that ended up being killed. And he makes a reference to where are you going to be standing because I don't want to shoot in your direction. So listen to this.
Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up. Right. Then when he drops his arm, Helena get out. He drops his arm. That means Brady's close. I'm going to start to really get up. Okay. Here we go. Let's try it.
And everyone
rolling.
Need to be right here, like in the path of the gun. Could you please move? Just want to be over him a little bit so I can see it. Is that a quarter load? It's a quarter, yeah.
Now wait a second. If I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you. Okay. I want to shoot close to you. Here we go.
So it's kind of creepy that he said that, and then I don't know how many days after this footage that actually someone got in the way of the prop gun that happened to be loaded with a live round because of the idiot armorer
off.
Again,
and somebody died.
Say what you want about Alec Baldwin, but this guy has turned into a patsy when it comes to this thing. This is an actor who is handed a toy. It should be a toy that we all got when we were in first grade. Not real gun with real bullets. And And it's not his job to figure that out either.
No.
He is an actor.
No, and if you watch the full clip, which I did, you do see Alec Baldwin taking care or being concerned about the crew because there's, they're out in, a Old West,
right,
like ravine, rustic environment, and they're using steady cams, and there's a point where one of the camera guys kind of slips and falls, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And then, they're doing a tracking shot, and he's like, "Why are you walking that way? Don't walk, in this difficult path. Take the smoothest path, and I'll just follow you." So he's trying to coach these kind of...
Is he still in trouble for this?
more
I know he wasn't, then he was.
Yeah, so special prosecutors in New Mexico are going to convene a grand jury, or they were supposed to convene a grand jury yesterday to consider recharging Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter, but then the judge rescheduled it, I guess, the day before, so Wednesday, and so not sure when that actual hearing is going to be taking place, but these videos could be presented to the grand jury, although I don't know. Like I said, to me it kind of makes him look less culpable.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a grand jury. No, it's
I wonder
not
how it
case
got
closed,
out.
Ham.
And that is what you would say.
I wonder how that got out. It got out specifically to be like, look, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, it just says exclusively obtained by NBC News, so not sure who leaked them or how they got them. So interesting.
Yeah.
Something that will be coming to digital and Blu-ray in early December is a fascinating documentary that you drew my attention to, Snake, called A Disturbance in the Force.
Man, I cannot wait for this.
It is a behind-the-scenes documentary about the 1978 Star Wars Hollywood holiday special, the infamous Star Wars variety show holiday special that was aired on CBS in 1978.
And then the people that were a part, you've never seen it again. It's never been out there. I don't think you can find it anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
The footage has been buried.
Yeah, and one. George
sure?
Lucas. George Lucas.
I thought Ty did something on this.
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of it, too, like Chewbacca's family and everything like that.
YouTube might have some.
There may be clips.
Yeah, there are clips, but nobody has seen it
speak.
in its entirety
Since
since
it aired.
1978.
Yeah, and George Lucas won't talk about it. There are clips in the trailer from like Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, like, no, we don't talk about that. Like, they all know that they're not supposed to talk about it. And, yeah, I mean, George Lucas greenlighted a holiday special with, like, Donny Osmond as Luke Skywalker and Chris Christopherson as Han Solo. And it was, we're going to use the Force to get you a bang bang. Just stupid, campy 70s musical crap.
It was the height of the variety show in the 70s, the Osmonds, the Barbara Mandrell show.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember if they showed
Sha-na-na, all of those dumb shows.
It runs together on where Sesame Street and the Muppet Show have a border. Like, they share some characters, but they don't share others.
Right.
And I know the droids, I think, went on Sesame Street. And the only reason I bring that up is, at that time, that was a really big deal because that's the only place you would see the characters other than the movie.
Right.
And the action figures and everything was so big in pop culture, but they were so rarely seen that this was a really big deal. The holiday special, like, oh my gosh,
yes,
we get to see these guys, and then they showed up on Sesame Street. It's hard to explain society, like pop culture of the late 70s, if you weren't there.
So this comes out on December the 5th.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, on December the 6th, we're doing segments on it.
No
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the original Star Wars, of course, came out in 77, and this was 78, so George Lucas was talked into this. He was talked into doing a variety special for the holidays in 78, and so it aired during the week of Thanksgiving on CBS, and 13 million people tuned in and were just aghast at how horrible it was. And so, yes, it never saw the light of day, but it will be seen on December 5th. They have a limited run in select theaters but then it will be available on digital and Blu-ray on the 5th.
Like one of those, stage variety show stage doors in the back kind of opens up in the beginning, and here comes this group of stormtroopers, like real stormtroopers, doing synchronized dancing. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
All right, here is this is probably
Yes.
this is probably going to shock you.
Okay.
As Sean Puffy P. Diddy Combs has been sued.
Okay.
In federal court by former girlfriend Cassandra Ventura.
Hey now.
So her attorney says that Mr. Combs offered her 8 figures to silence her and prevent her from filing this lawsuit. Now, his attorney, Ben Braffman, who once upon a time represented Harvey Weinstein,
boo,
he says that his client vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. What are these allegations? So she says they were together for like 10 years. She says that he raped her in her own home as she tried to leave him. She tried to break off the relationship, and he raped her. He would often punch, beat, kick, or stomp her, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding.
When was this?
This was
like recent, or was it like 20 years ago, or
I don't have the time frame of their relationship.
Their
right in front of me. Yeah. But it was over the course of 10 years.
Okay.
So I guess maybe late aughts into the teens.
Triad?
She says that he introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions.
That's why you are here.
Cassie Ventura was in a long-term relationship with Sean Diddy Combs from 2007 to 2018.
Okay,
right.
there you go.
Back to you, Dave.
Thank you. She also claims that he blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in her.
That seems like you're going over the line.
Yeah. And that he forced her to engage in Grex acts with male Grex workers while grasturbating and filming it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's a tough one, pal.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's a tough
one. Wasn't it Dave?
Traffic
wasn't
now.
it Dave Chappelle that claimed that P. Diddy drank breast milk?
God, yeah. That's right.
From a Cambodian immigrant.
Yeah. Only the best Cambodian breast milks.
Wow. Do you think that people that get like really rich really quick, like Puff Daddy did, like over the top, become a billionaire within like 5 years type stuff, whether it's for producing or clothing or any of that, do you think that they just look at that as a way to fulfill every fantasy lifestyle that they've ever thought about? And like, well, yeah, I've got this money and now I can do whatever.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, Norm,
I guess if you keep on having to raise the bar, there's nothing that's off limits to you anymore.
Yeah.
So normal things don't work. You got to keep raising the level.
Right.
Sounds like you didn't listen to Junior.
And so this court case makes this last little tidbit a little bit more interesting. So in September, Sean P. Diddy Puffy Combs, he gave publishing and songwriting rights back to a bunch of bad boy artists, his label. But in order to get those rights, those artists had to sign NDAs.
Oh, because they were all around when all this stuff was going on. When
so
he's lined up half of Cambodia, like just trying to tug and figure out which one he wants.
Right, exactly. So the
breast tug.
The theory is that the reason why he made this generous offer was that he knew that this lawsuit was coming, and he needed to. Shh.
Yeah,
all of you. Shh.
Wait till the NDAs you see whenever you guys leave this show that you're going to have to sign.
Oh, my God.
They'll expire.
Guys, just please sign it.
And that's your news.
All right, good stuff, David.
Get the Steak Podcast at patreon.com/sportsgreek.
Here's David.
All right. Well, it is a bit of a sporadic concert calendar because it is a holiday week.
Oh, yeah.
However, we do have a fair amount of big shows, including tonight at the American Airlines Center, Enrique Iglesias, Pitbull, and Ricky Martin.
Bob.
Dude.
Pitbull.
I'm headed right over there.
I'm going to swing by and pick up your whole family.
Hispanic girls.
Careful.
How much?
To
That
drive
explains
straight
where
there.
DJ's at.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's
right.
why DJ
That's
took the day
right.
off.
He had to pregame for Pitbull and Ricky Martin.
Holy cow.
Man,
I don't.
$5,000.
Yeah, I need a helicopter from here, $5,000, free food and beer,
Coke,
and cocaine.
Yeah, in a suite.
In a suite.
Also tonight at the Cambridge Room, stoplight
A
observations.
soundproof suite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, can we close the windows? At the Echo Lounge, games we play. Tonight at Granada Theater, Ladytron.
Not real.
Is anything real in this world?
Where's that at?
Granada. They're either Irish or Scottish. It's like two chicks, two dudes.
Same thing.
I think they're Irish.
Did you say good day, mate?
Tonight at Trees, Mike Dimes. Tonight at the Winspear Opera House, Lake Street Dive.
If you're gonna tell them
Really?
everything, tell them I'm a good kisser.
They're kind of fun.
You know them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are they country or are they Americana?
Neither. Not even close to either. They're just kind of their own little poppy thing.
She's got some floppers.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true either.
What
Tonight-
song did you pick to play?
I don't know. Good kisser, yeah. I don't know.
They've got a couple of, like, big-time radio hits.
Yeah,
That's not
Dave.
one of them, Dave.
Well, that one has like
Way to go, Dave.
millions of plays,
I don't
so
think so. I don't believe you.
you're an idiot. Go Dave. Tonight at the Factory, Closey. Tonight at Arlington Music Hall, War.
What? War? How are they around?
I don't know. I was obsessed with this song when I was in middle school.
I mean, this is all I think of is Dazed and Confused.
What goes into being obsessed with this in middle school?
I don't know. I think I bought some compilation that it was on, and I would just listen to it over and over again.
And Peace.
Yes, War and
Peace.
Tonight at Tannehill's Tavern, Wheeler.
Will they play that tonight?
Yeah, probably a lot.
Okay.
Tonight at Tannehill's Tavern here in Fort Worth, Wheeler Walker Jr. I can't play any of his stuff because he's basically the country version of Tenacious D.
Walker's really funny.
Yeah,
like that's
it's
a good
just
bit.
Nothing but cussing.
And I think he's from Lake Highlands. It's
Is
like
he really?
It's like a bit. It's
Okay.
a country bit, like
Yeah.
making fun of country music.
It sounds pretty funny, but yes, it's impossible to play anything on the air.
Yeah.
At Billy Bob's tonight and Saturday night, Gary Allen. At Will Rogers Auditorium.
That's gross, Gary.
Gary, that's disgusting.
At Will Rogers Auditorium tonight and tomorrow night, Leanne Morgan. And tonight and tomorrow night at Dickies Arena.
Is that Troy's ex-squeeze? Leanne Morgan?
No, Lori
No,
Morgan.
that's
Oh,
Lori
okay,
Morgan.
okay.
And that's all.
How could I confuse them?
That's all alleged.
Tonight and tomorrow night at Dickies Arena, George Strait.
Yeah. Those tickets are going for a lot of money. A lot
I
of money.
bet.
So they're not paying you to go
They're not. No, they're not.
with a helicopter?
No.
Tomorrow at Granada, Panic Stricken, the widespread cover band Corby.
Really?
Yes.
Man, so like after Iowa State and Texas, I could just kind of slink off.
Yeah. Take a 10 milligram and
Right, just kind of sit in
Uber
the back
down to the
and-
Granada.
Yeah. Wrong band.
Tomorrow at the Cambridge Room, Jack Kays.
From 227?
No, not Jack Hay.
I can't keep writing songs about the things I left behind. I spent way too much time alone inside my morbid mind. I wanna live inside my dream.
This sounds like it might be from the Davidson song collection. You can't strum that fast, though.
No, I can't.
At Club Dada tomorrow night, Wi-Fi's funeral. I don't really understand it. At the factory, Paul Coffin. At Ferris Wheeler's.
Coffin.
From
Kansas State.
Jeez.
K-State, great.
At Ferris Wheeler's, Corb Lund.
Corb Lund?
Corb Lund.
Okay.
I wonder if it's short for Corbett or Corby.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night at Texas Trust CU Theater, Intocable.
Is this Hispanic music?
What a jerk.
All right, I get it. So many accordions, dude. It's unbelievable.
Like, of all the accordions in the world, what percentage are owned by Hispanics? Sunday at Trees, Summers. At House of Blues, Porno for Pyros.
Whoa!
So that's not them. They postponed their tour, and then they're like, oh, we're doing this tour. It's going to be badass. They postponed it. Then they came out and said, by the way, we're going to come back, but this is the last time we ever tour. Like, they're done.
They just put out a new single.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Agua, and it sounds pretty. It's a slow start, but once they get into it, it does sound like a cross between Porno for Pyros and Jane's Addiction.
Okay.
It's not bad. At Southside Ballroom, LP. At the Majestic,
Lattisaur.
Winona Judd.
Just deep snapping.
Yeah.
And Sunday at the Toyota
Into
Music...
a gong. Like he just keeps hitting the gong.
Sunday at the Toyota Music Factory, The National.
Corby.
You don't like them.
No. They're way too sleepy for me.
But they kind of talk like this.
Yeah, I don't like the dude's voice, which is weird because I'm wearing a Morrissey shirt and everyone hates his voice. But
So wait, where are they on Wednesday?
Toyota Music Factory. On
Man.
Sunday.
Oh, that's Sunday.
Sunday night, yes. Monday, there is nothing of note. Tuesday, at the factory, August Burns Red.
Whoa.
At Southside Ballroom, Royal Blood.
Royal Blood's good. They're heavy.
Where's August Burns Red?
The factory, bro. Factory in Deep Ellum.
Okay.
And at Arlington Music Hall, Asleep at the Wheel. Wednesday at the Granada, of course, is the Polyphonic Spree record release show.
Let's go.
We don't have time for
Skoden.
that. At Billy Bob's, Sam Riggs. At Dickies Arena, Yo Gotti.
Oh, my God. If my kid was in town,
He
Yo
would
Gotti
wanna
he
go.
would be all up into that.
And Wednesday at the Longhorn Ballroom, it's Friendsgiving with Vandaliers, Jarrett Ray Reddick, and Joshua Ray Walker.
Oh, that's fun.
This
Walker.
is Joshua Ray Walker.
Walker. He's fun.
He's big. He's big fun.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes. We don't have time to get to the hook, I guess.
Well, I feel sexy after dark.
And Thursday, of course, is Turkey Day, when we spend time with our families and we don't have time for live music. So there are no shows.
Except at the Cowboy game.
Yes, as Dolly Parton will be your halftime entertainment.
Yeah. You going to go, Bob?
What?
Why were you putting a gun to your head?
No, I just had my finger for a second. So,
Just pointing.
You
at
getting
the
ready to
ceiling.
put your foam finger on it?
Yeah. Do we know who the halftime is at the Lions game? Because it's always garbage, but it's always fun.
Oh, man.
I don't
The
know.
band?
No.
Yeah.
Garbage
No, it's
isn't
not
playing.
garbage.
No, not garbage. The band.
Who is playing? I thought it was something
Hot dog?
that didn't suck that much.
Jack Harlow.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
That'd
The
be
rapper.
interesting. I'm into that.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. And then at the Reconsider Lounge, a Beastie Boys cover band fronted by Bryce Young's only wide receiver target, Ryman and Thielen.
I love it.
And a tribute to Ted Nugent featuring an expectant mother who was the victim of a hot cheese fries delivery room incident. Ranch Snatch Fever.
Oh, my.
Ranch Snatch Fever.
And that is your concert calendar.
650 on the ticket.